Jones, Pro Football Hall of Famer, top 100.
Tyler Lockett from the Seattle Seahawks.
DK Metcalf from
Hey, Burleson, you're watching NorbCam.
NorbCam.
You're watching NorbCam.
What's up, everybody? It is Wednesday, which means it is another NorbCam Roundtable here on the NorbCam channel. Thank you very much for tuning in today. I'm so excited. There is so much going on in the world, not just football, but obviously in the world. But just in football alone, there's so much to talk about. I don't even know where to start. Sorry about the late start. We actually are still waiting for a couple of guests of my roundtable to come in, but we're going to start anyway. We just thought, let's just not wait. Let's just go and let's just get into it, kill some time as we wait for a couple of our other members to do this. But somebody asked, Rich for 200 wants to know, are we doing Kahoot? Yes, there will be a trivia today. Absolutely. Presented once again by one of the viewers, Joseph23. He did a much better job, I must say. Good job, Joseph23, on your Kahoot you did. I did make some tweaks to it, as I always do, just to customize it and make it a little bit more NorbCam-centric, and a couple of little, grammatical things here or there, dotting the I's, crossing the T, changing capital letters to lowercase letters, because that gets... that's one of my pet peeves. But it's good stuff, though. Got some old school things, a couple of new things, so I'm going to be excited to get into that, but that's going to be at the end of the show. So we got plenty to cover before then. Hope everyone's doing well on this Wednesday. I want to remind everybody, please, if you wouldn't mind, hit that like button over there, and then see that red thing, that subscribe button. Please do that. Hit the notification bell. That way you'll be notified every time there's a video. Comment, share, all that kind of stuff, and I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm trying to get it to 50K in subs, and it's been a very good, actually, you guys have been great, because you guys have really been helping me out. I've been really gaining some traction the last few weeks, and I'm close to 42, so I was hoping it'd be great. It was so awesome to get to 50 before the end of the season. I think we could do it, so please hit that button if you haven't done so already. But let's get to... Let's see, we've got almost everybody here. I know Brian was going to be late because he's got some stuff with his new place coming on. Let's go ahead and jump on and at least let some conversation go on as we're waiting for Brian. But here we are. It is the round table, y'all. This is, let's go clockwise from top to right. So first we got Squabo at the top. Again, looking sharp with the jacket, the black shirt, no tie look. I like it, man. So, Squabo, glad to always have you back here, man. Then we've got Steezy A. Smith, also looking sharp in the white shirt. Can't really tell if that's a pattern shirt or something. It looks like you got a little thing going on there. But looking good, man.
Yes, sir, it is.
All right, I like it, man.
Thank you. I guess I came just on time.
Hey, man, it's Steezy time. NorbCam time. Filipino time. Oh, look at that. I'm cute. Look at Brian pops right in here. Right on time. We were just getting around the horn, man. And so Steezy was in the house. And then
we got to the Super Bowl this year. Can we still do Mizuki buffet or a rest?
The no beef.
Oh,
yeah. And I was going to shave a mustache in, but I messed that up. So, yeah.
Oh, I got to ask about that. So let's continue the thing. Just a quick note. I don't know if you heard that sexy woman's voice in the background. I'm trying a new thing with the super chat, because sometimes I miss the super chats. So I have this thing where this sexy woman's voice, sultry woman, actually will read the super chat after it appears. This could be a complete annoying disaster, or it could be really cool. So if you want to hear that sexy woman talk, just hit a super chat in there and you'll hear her voice. Except the guests won't, so you guys will keep talking and not even realize that it's going, because I can't get that feed going to you. I'll have to work that out. But Anthony D says in the super chat, hey Norb, if we get to the Super Bowl this year, can we still do Mizuki buffet or a restaurant where this $900 seafood boat can feed 16 people? I'm on for a dinner celebration, man. If we win the Super Bowl, heck yeah, man. I don't know if Mizuki Buffet is even open. And the way this COVID thing's going on, we're not going to allow more than 5 people to do any kind of dinner celebration. But we'll see. Super Bowl's still how many months away? 3 months away? So we'll see. One thing at a time, though. Let's take it one game at a time. We got a game coming up this Sunday, I believe. So, but Anthony D, thank you for the support. So, of course, we got to go back to our panel. Seahawks Martin up at the top there. Martin, say hello to everybody out there watching.
What's up? I gotta look better next time because I feel like I underdressed.
Martin, you got to
I just have a
get the
t-shirt.
dress
That's
shirt
it. All I
out.
have is a t-shirt.
Yeah, well, me too. This wrinkly T-shirt at that.
Yeah, but it's a Jordan T-shirt. That's good enough, man. That's
Yeah.
like wearing a tuxedo. It's so cool.
Well, I'm wearing my wrinkled T-shirt. I've got but Super Bowl 48 champions, baby. So I don't care how underdressed I am. It says 48 champions. That's always looking good. So finally, last but certainly not least, sporting a little different look there. We got at Abker. We got Brian Abker, former sports radio DJ. Glad you're here, man. I like the hat.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to be here.
Now, you said you were going to sport maybe a different look. Was that going to be this week, or is that not? Was that I'm trying to make it out? I can't see the detail yet on your screen, but yeah,
Yeah, I don't have my light fixed up because I thought we were starting at 5:15, like I texted you, so I didn't get my light squared away. So we won't have it today.
What? Is it too late to do it? I'll give you the minute. We were just killing time, man. We got so many people who are anxiously wanting the show to start. I said, well, Brian's going to be coming on later because he's got a few things to do. But you can go ahead.
People are just going to have to deal with the shadows. I have to go out to my car down the road to get it.
Well, in that case, let's just roll with what we got.
I apologize.
No, it's all right. I know you told me in advance, so that's okay. Hey, yeah, as you see, life just sometimes, gets in the way of sports entertainment. But that's just how it is. You just got to roll with us, baby. All right, well, let's get into it. The most important thing is that you guys are here. Light or no light, beard or no beard, dress shirt or no dress shirt, we're all here to talk about some Seahawks football, baby. All right, so I want to start really just as we always do every week, we got to take a look at the game prior to what we just watched on Sunday, the dismantling of the San Francisco 49ers. Man, was that a much needed win. Just better than I could have hoped for. The final score didn't even tell the story. It was 37-27, but really at one point it was 30-7. I mean, we dominated this game pretty much after a couple of rough starts in the beginning, but it was pretty much all Seattle with some garbage time yards and garbage time touchdowns at the end. It wasn't even that close. But I want to talk about this game a little bit and just how you guys felt going into it. Let's just start with Boelter, Squabo. Let's start with you, man. Just give me your thoughts on this game. What was your feeling just watching this game unfold? It was such a sight to behold, man. What was your reaction?
I thought of it as an incredible bounce-back performance and a very impressive win for a limited roster. Offensively, we went into this game without Chris Carson, Carlos Hyde, and Mike Iupati. Defensively, we didn't have Vincent Mayo or Jamal Adams. We were without bodies, key pieces to our rotation that every single week are impact players for Seattle. And when I saw the injury report going into the game, I was concerned. I said, this is going to need to be a very well-coached game by Pete Carroll, and that it was. We had very crucial players step up and make big plays. I remember when taking notes about the game, I said Demontre Moore's breakout performance, and then he gets suspended for PEDs, and that explains it. But outside of that, DJ Reed defensively, the inspiring performance by this young fella. For those of you who don't know, he was cut by San Fran early on in the year after tearing his chest, I believe.
Pec, yep.
And the whole injury process that he's gone through. He was told he wasn't going to have a job. He gets a call from Seattle and targets, or before getting a call from Seattle, he targeted next season to come back. But instead, he gets a call from Seattle and comes back for the game against his old team and gets a pick. An incredible story. A guy who went to JUCO. So his impact on Seattle was tremendous defensively. Bobby Wagner stepped up and got a pass rush. Offensively, we tore them up at times. DK Metcalf had an outstanding performance offensively, and DJ Dallas with 2 touchdowns. It was very well coached. Our defense stepped up big time for Seattle, and that was the biggest key for me. I loved how the pass rush performed, and it's very inspiring. It shows what we're able to do even without some of these key players that we're going to get back. So major credit to Seattle and the coaching staff.
Yeah, I agree. There were so many good things about this game, but I think we all were just so impressed by how the defense bounced back after being just raked over the coals for how much they've been giving up and not stopping anybody. Well, they definitely stopped them and rushed the passer, just did everything that we needed to do. And it was fun to see these new guys, these new faces, like you just talked about, but also DJ Dallas coming in there scoring a couple touchdowns, and in his starting rookie debut. And then Stephen Sullivan, while he didn't do a lot in terms of having his name called out that much, the fact that this guy Stephen Sullivan, who was talked about how he's converted from tight end to defensive end and getting on the field to do what he can. I know he got in on some plays, so just again, names coming out of nowhere that you just didn't expect, making some great things happen for Seattle. And Bobby Wagner, NFC Defensive Player of the Week. So he really had a game. And I think we've talked about him a little bit, saying that he looked like he's maybe a half step slow. He's just not quite the impact guy. Man, he was like he heard us and said, well, I'm going to show that round table what I'm made of. I'm going to go in there and light this game up. So, Steezy, how about your thoughts on the game, man?
Well, going into the game, we had 9 sacks, and in this game alone, we had 33% of the sacks that we had in the entire season. We had 3, and so I think it was very encouraging to see that we finally had a pass rush. I understand that Ken Norton sent out a lot more blitzes than we're normally accustomed to seeing, but I think that's definitely something that we should continue to do. Obviously, it worked out well for us. Despite the injuries that San Fran's dealing with, they still have a pretty rock solid offensive line. And so for us to get to the quarterback 3 times when we had 9 in about 6-7 games, I think that was a very positive sign. And the offense, I mean, look, we're back on track. I understand Russell Wilson threw for a whole lot of yards against Arizona. He put up a masterpiece, but we kept turning the football over. We didn't turn the football over once in this game. Going up against a top 5 defense, they're dealing with a whole lot of injuries as well, and we picked them apart. Russell Wilson was very efficient. I think he completed, what was it?
27 of 37. Yeah.
Right, thank you. For 73%, 261 yards, 4 touchdowns, no picks. DK Metcalf had career highs across the board, as Noah alluded to. 15 targets, 12 catches, 161 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And that defense is top 5 in passer rating and passing yards a game and total passing yards on the season. And we completely picked them apart. And so I saw a whole lot of encouraging signs. And like you said, Norb, the score wasn't as close as it indicated. I mean, 37-27. It was 30-7 with about 14 minutes to go. A lot of people are kind of worried about what Nick Mullins did going into the game. He had about 238 yards and 2 touchdowns in just 14 minutes of play. Well, we played a whole lot of prevent. We already had the game in the bag. And so I'm not worried at all. But overall, good win, 6-1 with the opportunity to go 7-1 this weekend. Super excited.
I want to ask you, Martin, why don't you give me your take on this game and just, what you it was amazing how 1 week, how much difference a game makes, right? Because before this one, it was just panic city. We talked about the whole panic feeling, the defense just not being able to stop anybody, and oh no, Russell Wilson's campaign for MVP is all going down the tubes. But all of a sudden, it feels like we're just right again. What was your feeling in watching the game, man?
First off, don't criticize me in the chat because I'm a kid talking sports. It's just my thing. I just can't believe how it turned around that much. We went from Arizona just playing awful defense and awful coverage to San Fran, where we're just getting 3 sacks. We got that pick off from DJ Reed. I'm pretty sure that Bobby Wagner had something to do with this, because I did remember him going into the coach's office and what was it telling them we got to do better, and look at that, they did better. I think Bobby Wagner was the leading force in all of this. I'm just happy that we pulled out a win, and I hope we can keep this momentum on both sides of the ball next week against the Bills.
Yes, I think what you're talking about, Bobby Wagner, I believe after that loss to Arizona, I think he said something. He was really fired up, saying, enough talking about that we need to get better. We actually have to get better. We need to actually go and do it. And once they started, the game was not a good start, if you guys remember. The first 2 series, Seattle went backwards. It was like a net negative, 5 yards on the first drive. The second drive, they're deep in their own end zone. Couldn't really move the ball, and it was I think it was that interception. The interception by Reed, that was kind of what jump-started things and got Seattle rolling out of when it was first kind of stuck in neutral. Brian, I want to ask you something, man. Anytime stuff like this happens, and of course there's massive injuries on the 49ers, Garoppolo really was never right. He just became worse after all those nasty hits and sacks that he took. But one might argue, I've seen 49ers fans already say, well, Seattle wasn't really the better team. We just had too many injuries, blah, blah, blah. So is this, again, a question of, was it that Seattle was that much better, or is this 49ers just too many injuries and things to overcome? What's your take on that argument, Brian?
Yeah, my take is that Seattle is that much better. There was enough injuries on both sides to cancel each other out. Let's face it. Jimmy Garoppolo ain't that dude to start with, and he was injured. So Ken Norton, of course, was going to bring the blitz more. That's why Seattle was able to get the 3 sacks. I don't know that that's an indication of the pass rush is improving, but it's an indication that Ken Norton knows what's up, and he knows when to apply the pressure when he's got the advantage on his side. Now, I expect that the pass rush is going to get a little bit better with these additions, but Seattle is just a flat-out better team than San Francisco. I would think that Kittle would have been the guy to really crush us, because we've had notorious problems with tight ends over the years. Even when we had good defenses, tight ends killed us, and it turned out to be the opposite. We demolished Kittle. We handled him, we suppressed him, and then we kicked him out for the season with that injury. So, no, we're better than the 49ers, and I don't think there's any question about it. Yeah, they only had one top-tier wide receiver, but I don't really put a lot of credence into the value of their other wide receivers as being anything super great. So, no, it's a clear-cut difference between the two teams. I think the Rams and the Cardinals are better challenges for the Seahawks, and the 49ers are at full strength.
Well, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, we're still in the midst of the toughest part of our schedule here. We lost in overtime against the Cardinals. We beat the Niners, and now we're on the road to the Bills, and then we're going to play LA and then the Cardinals again. So we're just getting started. We're getting into the meat of this really tough gauntlet here, and we'll get into the Bills game in just a second. But would you say for this game, was it we got pressure on the quarterback, but we had to manufacture it. It still wasn't like the D-line suddenly was making things happen. It was Bobby blitzing. It was a lot of blitzing. And I said it, if you guys remember in my keys, I said, I think we're going to have to blitz, because that's what the Cardinals did to us, and they got to us, and we did it to them. And I was glad to see that because it worked. That's what forced the turnovers, what really eventually ended up with Garoppolo being knocked out of the game. And I just think that's probably going to be the method moving forward, unless we do have some players coming in here. I said the reinforcements are coming that could change the dynamics of this. I'm talking about Carlos Dunlap. Of course, we can have Jamal Adams coming back. So who knows? I still feel like we still haven't seen this best defense here in terms of what we might become. So.
And we won't, Norb. We won't see this defense come to fruition until right before the playoffs. So we'll be saying the same thing each and every week. And hopefully we'll be able to say that they've improved from week to week and that we don't have to talk about injuries slowing down that progression of their improvement. But this team's not going to be clicking on defense until right as they roll into the playoffs, which the timing's going to be great, but it's not going to be great for fans who keep saying, oh, we need pass rush. We needed, they were in panic mode. We need to go get somebody. I've said it since the first day that I've been on with you guys. This defense is going to be fine. They only need to be good enough because this offense is spectacular. And the only time that the defense wasn't good enough was when Russ threw 3 picks. And like we all said, he ain't doing that again.
Yeah. Yeah, no, he was right back on that MVP track. I think it was DK Metcalf said it in his press conference. The MVP train is back on track. I think he said something like that. Speaking of DK, we got to talk about him because we talked about him in that game. He really didn't do much. Everybody was talking about him with that play where he chased down Buda Baker from behind, and in a game that he really didn't do much offensively. Well, they just flipped that script entirely to where it was the DK Metcalf show, and now everybody around the nation and everyone in the NFL world is talking about DK Metcalf and comparing him to all kinds of Calvin Johnson, Megatron, and all kinds of comparisons. Guys, just some thoughts on DK Metcalf what an amazing performance, man. I mean, he just looked like a man among children out there. I want to just kind of get your guys' take on just your reactions to just what we already know about DK Metcalf, but in this game in particular, what was your reactions to how he played in that game? Let's start with you, Squabo.
To be honest, I predicted it. If you look back last week when we were talking, I said this is going to be a breakout performance for DK Metcalf. Then I said it on my show. And then when we were watching it, it was a beautiful thing to watch. I didn't know when he caught it right around midfield that he was going to take that the entire way, though. I didn't expect him to just go down the field, weaving through traffic, outrunning everyone to the end zone. Major props, and DK gave credit to him in press conference, but I wrote this down when watching the game. Jacob Hollister has been such an influential player for Seattle, making key plays. He provides a pop, and his block on that play was tremendous down the field, enabling DK Metcalf to punch that in for a touchdown. Everyone in Seattle is bought in right now. DK is bought in. Tyler is bought in. You look at DK's press conference after that game, and the questions were about that Arizona Cardinals game. You had that huge hustle play. You had an opportunity to win the game in the end, and it got called back by a penalty. What was going on in your mind after that game, and in terms of the chemistry in the locker room between you and Tyler Lockett after Tyler had such a big performance? And it was all love between the two of them. Tyler told DK this is going to be his week, and that he was going to have an opportunity to shine. These two together are the best duo in football, and that's what they believe, at least right now until we see a B in Tampa Bay, that is. But with Seattle, Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf want to see each other be successful. Jacob Hollister wants to see DK Metcalf be successful, and that's what's enabling us to be so successful. DK Metcalf no longer is going to be in the conversation for one of the best Seahawks wide receivers of all time. He's going into the conversation as one of the best NFL wide receivers of all time. He's Calvin Johnson, but a little bit faster, especially on the field, and his playmaking skills are off the charts. He is unarguably going to be in my opinion, he's going to be the best wide receiver in the NFL for some time, and it's coming sooner than a lot of people think.
I want to hear what you guys' thoughts are on what your favorite play of DK Metcalf one. Mine was actually one where he didn't catch a pass. Do you guys remember the slant pass where he basically kind of got hit by I think it was the safety. I'm not sure if it was the safety or the corner, but he just basically like missiled into his breadbasket to try to break up the ball, and he hit him. And the ball did get broken up, but he went to the ground crumpling, the defender did. And Metcalf just stood there like a Terminator wondering what was this fly that just bounced off my chest and is lying in a crumpled mess down below. I mean, I love that play. And it wasn't even a conversion. He didn't get the catch. But just the fact that he didn't even move. It was just like the guy dove into a brick wall. Bam! And he just looks down at him like, nice try, buddy. That's just how impressive his stature and his strength is. That was my favorite play amongst many great ones, but I just wanted to find out what you guys thought. Martin, how about you? What was your favorite moment of DK's performance on Sunday?
That's pretty tough. There's so many. I think I'm going to go with the deep bomb that set up a touchdown. That was just a great route and obviously a great throw by Wilson. Man, he just was able to get clear of that guy. There's so many places I could go with, but I just want to go with
You're talking about the one on the left sideline where he just kind of just
that
move
one,
and he just went down
one.
And just caught it in stride. Yeah, that's a great throw.
Yep,
great throw and great
one.
move.
There's so many, but I just want to go with the big play that will set us up for points. I just wish it could be Tyler Lockett at times because I had to play Norb Fantasy this week and I lost.
I got you, man. DK was my man, and he went crazy. So yeah, it worked out well for me. I'm very happy. I actually won both my fantasy games, which never happens because usually I get my butt kicked. But worked out well for me. Thank you very much. How about you, Steezy? What was your favorite play by DK the Machine, the Terminator, on Sunday?
I mean, Noah alluded to it earlier. I got to go with that catch and run touchdown. I was just expecting a first down, and a couple seconds later, we get a touchdown. And so, I mean, that play kind of just illustrated his speed. He's shown his speed time and time again. And for him to just get the ball in his hands like that and score a touchdown, I don't think he's just one of the best wide receivers in all of football. I think he's, quite honestly, maybe a top 10, top 15 football player in the NFL. He's just been that good. And when I dropped that, is DK a top 5 wide receiver video on my channel a couple of weeks ago, I had a lot of people saying I was crazy. I have people saying that, oh, it's way too early, blah, blah. He's still raw, blah, blah. He's still a project, blah, blah. He's still just, he can only run like 1 or 2 routes in the route tree. But none of that matters. I mean, look what he's doing now. 15 targets, 12 catches, 161, 2 touchdowns. Like, it's a top 5 pass defense in the NFL. I mean, that's absolutely ridiculous. And I think that his evolution this season has helped Russ. I mean, obviously, we've seen how good Russ can be when we allow him to cook, but I don't think he'd be able to cook the way that he's been cooking this season, if not for DK's evolution and his next step towards greatness. I think he's already taken that step in his second year. And I'm not even gonna lie, before the season, I expected 1,000 yards, but I didn't expect this type of production. Noah was spot on. He said that he projected like 1,300 yards and 13 touchdowns or something like that. I think 1,500 yards, 1,600 yards, maybe 16 touchdowns is definitely within his reach. He's playing with the MVP of this league. He's playing with the best quarterback in football right now. And so I can't wait for his future. He's already this good. So, I mean, imagine how much better he's going to be next season and in years beyond. So,
what I love about him, too, is just how humble he is, and I think that helps the fact that he's got Russell mentoring him. I just, this whole receiving crew that we got right now, obviously with Tyler and DK getting all the, all the stats and all the love and the praise, both those guys are super humble, right? Like Tyler Lockett's never a guy who'll ever let his ego get in the way. But yet you still get David Moore getting a nice catch in there from a very nice pass, eluding the sack by Russell Wilson, getting a short yardage pass to David Moore. So he still gives those other guys some love, So it's great that they've got so much talent, and yet you got these 2 pillars who are just like the guys you got to zone in on. But when those guys are occupied, there's always going to be a David Moore hiding in the weeds. There's going to be the Greg Olsons and him running back out of the backfield. It's just so many weapons. It's a buffet. It's a buffet of receiving fun for Russell Wilson. So, Brian, how about your take on this, man? Just additional thoughts on DK Metcalf. Anything else you want to add to that conversation?
Yeah, first of all, I 100% agree with Steezy. And Steezy, when people say that it's too early, you say, yeah, it's too early for those who don't know. But I know. And so when you post that on Facebook and you get that memory back in 2 years, and then you can repost it and say, see, this is what I told you about from the beginning. So now you know that you can believe what I'm telling you. My favorite play wasn't an actual play. It was an attitude. Norb, you talked about how he's so humble, and he is, and he's doing the right things and saying the right things. And you're right, that's an influence from Russell Wilson. I love it. But he's got attitude on the field. He is not afraid to get up in somebody's face. He is not afraid when the DB starts jawing at him to turn around and jaw back at him. And that's the kind of confidence that maybe he didn't have his rookie season that we're seeing start to build. And he's getting momentum to have that. I not only belong here, I'm a top dog here. And I love seeing that.
Well, speaking of getting in somebody's face, my other favorite play, really as a team, was when Russell Wilson scrambled. He was going to slide, and he decided to kind of just try to get a couple more yards, and then he got hit by Ward, kind of by the head and neck area. And the way the offensive line, DK, David Moore, they all just came rushing in, and they're like, what you doing to our quarterback? And they just, it was great. I was loving it, right? I didn't want anyone to get kicked out or throw a punch or get a penalty, but it was just so cool to watch these guys just rally to his side, even though he was fine. He was okay, but it's going to take a lot more than that to knock Russell Wilson out of a game. But these guys just came in there and just were like, you do not do that to my quarterback. And like Martin just said, in stark comparison to what was going on in Dallas when their quarterback just got knocked out of the game, knocked practically unconscious at the play, and nobody seemed to care. I mean, it was horrible. I mean, what's going on in Dallas, but stark contrast to what was happening, and that just again reflects just what I feel right now is the chemistry on this team is really solid. Obviously, when you win, the chemistry always feels good, but it does feel like you just have a really, even despite any issues that the team has, and granted, when you only lose one game, there's not a lot of issues, but you just see that this team is really unified, and I love the fact, and I think that this is going to set up well for the rest of the season. I don't know, any other thoughts, guys, on this? Any other plays moments or things that we haven't talked about that you guys feel needs a little bit of spotlight on it? There's so many things in this game, but anything that we missed? Anything that you feel like concerns? Because when you win, obviously everything's great, and you don't really talk about the negative things. But anything that you are concerned coming out of this game, just anything you guys want to add to it?
Well,
Squabble.
when people say that injuries are part of the reason that the Seahawks won this game, first of all, I already mentioned the injuries that Seattle had heading into this game, and I completely agree with Brian Abker that the injuries kind of even out. But don't forget, the Niners were worse when they had all their players on the field. It wasn't Kittle that caught a touchdown. It was Dwelly. It was Ross Dwelly, their backup, who barely did anything last year. And he's a good fantasy acquisition now because Kittle's going to be out for a while. But that 49ers offense was stymied with their starters out there, and that's what's inspiring about our defense. So I really don't want to hear about the injuries, considering they performed much better, and the game wouldn't have been as close had Jimmy Garoppolo stayed in the game.
Should we be concerned about what Nick Mullins is able to do? I know it was. I justify saying, nah, it was just prevent. We were letting them have those yards because they just knew, just don't let anything go over the top. Yet they got to a point where it was within a 2-point conversion, and all of a sudden it's a 1-score game. Granted, they didn't get it, so we didn't have to worry about that. But is that a concern, or do you guys just feel like that's just the way you play strategically at that game, and you're going to give up that kind of thing? Who wants to chime in on that?
Honestly, Brian,
go ahead, Martin.
No, go ahead.
You got the
ahead,
punch.
Martin.
Go ahead.
Okay, I don't know why, but it seems like every single game we just have this big lead, and then we almost choke it, and then we just end up securing the win. It's like we're the Falcons, but we don't choke. No. We are way better than the Falcons. Let me just clarify. I'm not saying we are the Falcons. I'm just saying we are better than the Falcons. I'm just saying at those times we almost choke. It feels like we're the Falcons. Okay, don't kill me. But yeah, then again, Norb, you're right. On defense, we're just playing prevent. We're just not letting them get those deep plays, just making sure they throw right down the middle, and then we tackle them. That's that type of stuff. I think that's the type of defense we. Never mind what I said. But yeah, it's just garbage yards. It's just we're just trying to get them to take time off the clock, and then that just gives us time to secure the win. So I'm not worried, but like at the same time, it kind of annoys me that we're almost like always like we're just giving them free points for no reason.
Well, I guess to ask it in a different way is, if the 49ers had started Nick Mullins in this game, do you think this would have been a different outcome? I do think it would have been somewhat different, because you could tell Garoppolo has not been right for weeks. I mean, they rushed it back out on the field against Miami. Clearly, he was not good then. Obviously, somehow they were able to get the wins the last couple of weeks. But you watch him throw, you could tell he's favoring that ankle. I just was thinking from the beginning he shouldn't have been out in that field. And thank goodness they didn't start Nick Mullins from the beginning, because I think at least that guy could throw the ball down the field. Garoppolo clearly cannot. But I don't know. Or does he just think it's situational? Brian, you got something? You got answer your pants over there. You got something to say?
Yeah, man, I'm chomping at the bit because listen, if Nick Mullins started the game, would it have been a little bit different? Quite possibly, because I agree. I mean, Garoppolo, like I said, for me, even when he's fully healthy, he's okay. He's fine. But injured, he's trash. But let me ask you this, Norb. How much film do you think the Hawks studied on Nick Mullins this week?
Not much.
Zero.
The
Zero
Nick Mullins
film
I saw
on Nick
was
Mullins. So
the
they
Nick
don't
Mullins
know
film
the
I saw
tendencies.
was
They don't know.
Right.
They're not knowing what his snap counts look like, his tendencies. They don't know any of that stuff. They're not preparing for Nick Mullins. Had they had the whole week to prepare for Nick Mullins, then we don't know if he would have done any better than Garoppolo. Maybe he would have, but it wouldn't have been enough to change the outcome of the game, in my opinion.
Right. And the thing is, I did watch the film of Nick Mullins in that game against the Eagles, and he looked like, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, it was bad. I mean, he threw that Eagles defender like he was on the same team, man. I mean, it was not good. So if anybody, is thinking that he's the savior, just watch that game again, and you'll quickly change your mind. So, I do. So there's something about that, when the backup quarterback comes in, he's playing with nothing to lose. I just think there was also that nature of it. Plus, again, they were playing prevent. They weren't rushing the quarterback as much as they were in the beginning. So he had a little bit of a softer landing spot in that sense. He did throw well. I mean, he made some nice passes, but it's definitely a different situation when you're not the guy. And
Do you guys remember the opening game against the Bengals last year when, they had a whole new regime? There was no film on what kind of offense they were going to run. The Hawks were flying into this blind, and the Red Rifle looked like a Hall of Famer against us. Yeah. There's a lot to be said about film study. It's a crucial and detailed-oriented segment of the game that a lot of people don't realize the impact that it has. So that's the case when the backup quarterback comes in. Yeah, they're running the same plays, maybe dumbed down a little bit, but there's a film study on the individual players themselves that creates reasons and ways players are able to defend against other plays. They see, okay, every time Garoppolo puts his right foot back, we know he's handing off to the left side. That's his tell. That's stuff they get in film study that they wouldn't have had for the backup quarterback.
And Norb, real quick, you mentioned how earlier we blitzed a lot more than we usually did, and that was because maybe Ken Norton Jr. looked at Jimmy Garoppolo's ankle and decided that, he's not 100%, so let's blitz more. So our game plan on defense was specifically structured against Jimmy Garoppolo and the ankle of his. Now, when Nick Mullins comes in, he's fully healthy. He doesn't have any ankle issues. And so now we're like, are we going to keep blitzing this guy? What are we going to do? And so because we had the lead that we had, and the game was already out of reach essentially, then we kind of just, stepped back, played prevent, and whatever he did, he's going to do. But I can guarantee you that's not going to happen again. Now we have film study on Nick Mullins come week 17. If Jimmy Garoppolo isn't able to play, then we'll be much more prepared to go off against Nick Mullins. So, as I mentioned earlier, I'm not worried at all. Yeah.
Squabo, you have any other take on this conversation, or are we all kind of in the same agreement that it's more circumstantial? Okay, good. Well, so we are going to transition to, because I think this is a good transitioning spot. You're talking about having film on a guy and preparing for a different kind of quarterback. Well, what the quarterback we're about to play on Sunday is a very different quarterback, not going to be what we saw with Jimmy Garoppolo. So we will talk about this Bills game next in a second. But first, before we close the door on the 49ers, we got to review the scores from last week. But before I do that, is there any last point, any other points you guys want to bring up that we didn't talk about regarding this offense, defense, any other things that you feel as before we turn the page on the 49er game? Anybody?
Last thing for me is LJ Collier's pissing me off because I really thought this guy was going to come have a breakout season. And his first couple games, he looked like he might be heading in that direction, and he's done nothing. And he was a guy that we really needed to see step up and grow his career to watch this defense improve each week. And this guy's doing nothing as far as I've seen. So that really disappoints me. And I'm looking forward to him either stepping up or stepping out. That's my last thing I got to say about this game.
Yeah, and obviously the spotlight's on him because of how high we drafted him. You at some point you got to prove your worth, and so far he just hasn't done it, and that's unfortunate because it's just another one of those feels like a swing and a miss with drafting a guy probably too high. And not only did we draft him too high, but he's not panning out to really being able to deliver much. So okay, well let's anybody else? If not, we'll do our score recaps of what we had predicted last week. Let's see who was closest to the pin. Are you guys ready for this? All right, I love this part. All right, so we're going to go back now. I'm going to play back the section of last week where we provided our score predictions of what we thought would happen in this game. Let's see how accurate we actually were. So check it out.
I'm going to say final score, Seattle 29, San Fran 24.
31-27, Seattle.
27-17 Seahawks.
Seattle 30, 49ers 26. All right, there you go. So, Steezy A. Smith said 29-24. Squabo said 31-27. Brian said 27-17. And I stuck with my start of the year prediction of 30-26. So, based on the score, I would have to say, just because of the high number that Squabo gave the Seahawks at 31-27, he got the second number right on. I have to say that I think Squabo, you got the closest to the pin on the score prediction. So congratulations, Squabo. Good job, man. 31-27, the closest to the actual score, which was, of course, 37-27. All right, so we will do that again, of course, as we talk about the Bills game. So this is a perfect time to discuss that right now. So maybe before we do, I guess we got that next week, but this week already some interesting things happened, right? We got some guys and we lost some guys. Let's go with the positive side. It looks like Jamal Adams is going to play, which we've been waiting for that the last 4 weeks practically. So Jamal Adams looked like he's going to go. Carlos Dunlap, the big guy we got from the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm so excited about this one. I'm sure you guys are too, being that he is a pass rusher and he seems excited to be here. Even reworked his contract to make it happen. So Carlos Dunlap excited to be here and to play. Disappointed that Rasheem Green has not been listed on the active roster. I thought this was going to be the week he would finally get back on the practice field and play, but I have not seen anything about that. So unfortunately, we don't get him back, and we also lose a guy. So we gain a couple, but we lose one, and that would be our DeAndre Moore with the PED suspension after the high of winning that 49er game. It was like the next day, wasn't it? We hear about the 6 game freaking suspension from DeAndre Moore. I just want to get you guys' thoughts and reactions. I mean, there's not much to really react to other than like, crap, why, dude? But thoughts on that. Squabo, start with you.
There we go. Right?
You're in. You're on. The suspense is killing me.
Yeah, no. I like I said when taking notes on the game, I thought DeAndre Moore had really an outstanding performance. I thought he popped onto the scene multiple different plays. He was close to a couple of different sacks, a couple tackles behind the line of scrimmage, I believe, and just making an appearance all the way across the field. When I saw the notification, it was like unfortunate, but it really did just make sense. Like, okay, that's why he finally has such an impact for us defensively. And, it sucks that we have to lose him for 6 games. Big picture, almost kind of worth it considering we're getting a pass rush now. So, we don't need him as much anymore. So, even though it was only 1 game, it was a huge divisional game against the Niners and a bounce-back performance. Otherwise, we would have been tied for first place in the division, and we don't have the tiebreaker with Arizona Cardinals. So, realistically, it kind of worked out for Seattle. I'm not saying that we should support DeAndre Moore using player-enhancing drugs, but if you had to do it for 1 week, in a week where we were without a lot of our best pass rushers, that was the week to do it.
So Brian, I want to turn to you because I know you know a lot of stuff behind the scenes. Now, when it comes to these PED tests, just because they announced the suspension on Monday doesn't mean he just got tested, right? This happened some time ago, did it not? And these things normally take time. The test happens, they get the thing, and then it finally goes. So, right. So this was really not something that just happened. It's been in the works, if my memory serves. I mean, you can clarify on that. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's likely that it happened a while ago, and they've been going through the process and deciding whether there was an appeal or not, whether they wanted to. The way the testing works, and the one thing I don't know is if the testing process is different for PEDs than it is for substances. But Richard Sherman got tested at the beginning of the season when they do all their testing. And he tested positive for whatever it was, Ritalin or some, one of those enhancers. But the test was failed because of a couple technicalities. But we didn't find out about it for a few weeks down the road. So that could be the case with DeAndre Moore. But you know what? Hey, that's fine. Beef up, young man. Get your body all spruced up. You're going to be healthy for the playoffs, and that's all that matters for the Hawks right now.
Yeah, I guess that's the good news. We will get him back. So that is positive news. So real quick, I know we're going to transition to the Bills, and Martin's got to go in 3 minutes, and I do want to get your score prediction, but I think I'll wait for the rest of you guys so we can talk about the game first. But because Martin's got to go, Martin, I do want to get your score prediction on this game. So we'll rush ahead for you just to make the exception. But can you give me your Bills score prediction for Sunday?
It's going to be a tough game, that's for sure. But I think it's going to be 30-24. And I just hope we can pressure Josh Allen enough that he'll make a dumb decision.
Yeah.
Yes, pressure. That is the thing. So, well, let's get into this. Game against the Bills. I think it's time now since we're turning the page on these things. All right, let's start with so Martin's Martin's got to go. So, Martin, check out his channel. I got all these guys, by the way. Squabo, Steezy, Brian Abker, you can find on Abker on Twitter, and then Seahawks Martin had to go, but you can find his link, all their links in the description. So please check out their channels and their social media. So let's talk about the Buffalo Bills. Just quick bird's eye view on the Bills. These guys are 6-2, top of the AFC East at this point right now. Their 2 losses so far have been to, who did they lose against? They lost against the Titans, and they lost against the Chiefs. Chiefs. Hey, it's the Chiefs, right? And they got kind of killed by the Titans, which is a little bit surprising given that the Titans are a weird team. Not the greatest team, especially right now. They're kind of stumbling, kind of showing their true colors here. So, again, a team we're not that familiar with. We don't play Buffalo on a regular basis. We play them every election year. And so it'll be interesting to see kind of how we match up against these guys. But let's get kind of the initial take from Steezy A. Smith. Give me your take on just your overall feeling going into this game. 2 first-place teams, tops of their divisions. Are you concerned? What's your feeling of your optimism, confidence level going into Buffalo?
So before the season, I was very, very concerned, and I think I actually agreed with Noah when he said that this was one of the games that he circled as an L for us. But after starting off 4-0, the Bills are 2-2 in their last 4 games. They barely beat the Jets 18-10, and they're the only team in the NFL to not win by more than 2 scores against the Jets. And against the Patriots, they only really won because Cam Newton fumbled. Otherwise, the Patriots were moving up and down the field, and they're about to score and I think win the football game. And so Buffalo, I think in the last 4 weeks, they've kind of shown their true colors. Josh Allen's quarterback rating has been under 90 in their last 4 games. Against the Pats, he struggled in the passing game as well. He was 11 for 18, 154 yards and a pick. I'm starting to think this team might be a pretender out in the AFC. You look at their 4 wins when they started off 4-0. It was against a whole bunch of weak teams. Josh Allen was supposedly in the MVP conversation, but he's slowly came back down to earth in the last couple of games. And so I understand we don't play the Buffalo Bills very often. It's every 4 years, and that. I mean, they're still a pretty decent team. They have some weapons. Stephon Diggs has been one of the best receivers in football this season. But that defense isn't anywhere where it was last season. Their weakness is actually their run defense. And so whether or not Chris Carson plays, I think that we're going to have a pretty successful game running the football if we hopefully choose to do so and expose that weakness. But I'm not as worried as I was before the season. I think this should be an easy dub. Knock on wood.
Yeah, for sure. Everything you said. The trend for them right now, they're trending the wrong direction in terms of quarterback play. The defense is not what it was last year, not the formidable defense that I think we feared it was going to be. And so, yeah, right now Seattle is 2.5-point favorites, I think the last time I checked, going into this game. So, you know, they see it being close, and we always say it's going to be close. But let's get Squabo's take on it. Same feeling? Are you pretty confident going into this game now, having seen the trend of where they're going with the Bills?
Well, there are 2 ways that I like to categorize teams in football in general, but especially in the NFL, and that's as dogs and as front runners. When 2 dog opponents play against each other, it can be an extremely competitive game. When 2 front runners play against each other, it can be an extremely competitive game. 2 dogs going against each other, for example, Seahawks-Niners last year on Monday Night Football, or both times we played each other, really, that's dog versus dog. Front runner versus front runner. Think last year Buffalo versus Houston in the playoffs. Only when you have momentum is your team even got a chance to win. You saw the way Josh Allen gave up that lead last year in the playoffs. And this week it's dog versus front runner. And whenever we see that, it can get ugly. We saw San Francisco versus Green Bay in the playoffs last year. We saw Kansas City versus Houston in the playoffs last year. And we saw Green Bay versus Tampa in the regular season this year. Front runner versus dog can get ugly, and Seattle's a dog and Buffalo is a front runner. So in this game, I think it's important for Seattle, and we'll get into our keys in a little bit, but one of my keys is going to be get out to a lead, because I say the Buffalo Bills are front runners, and when they trail, they can get blown out in games. We saw what happened with them against Tennessee. They were in a competitive game against Kansas City, but no one really believed they were going to win that game, as far as I know. And as long as Seattle gets out to a lead in this game, there shouldn't be a doubt for me. Seattle is a dog. Buffalo is a front runner, and I look for Seattle to prove it on Sunday.
Well put. Brian, how about you? What's your feeling going into this game? You're usually always very confident, so I don't expect that to change. But how confident are you?
Well, here's the interesting thing is that this was one of the 4 games that I had in preseason, in going down the games and picking wins and losses. I had the Hawks losing this one. Not necessarily because I thought Buffalo was the better team. I just thought because of circumstances, travel, and everything else. But as I look at it now, I do not feel the same way. Here's what we know about Josh Allen. He has got an incredible arm. He has got amazing running skills. For a guy that's 6'7", he is unbelievably athletic and mobile. It's really, really freakish. But he's an idiot sometimes with that football. He really is. He makes so many bad decisions that the Seahawks are going to be able to capitalize on. And with Jamal Adams back in the lineup, I know a lot of people don't think of him as a ball hawk, but he's going to add a presence that's going to allow Diggs and the corners to really make some moves and become ball hawks and maybe jump some routes and maybe make Josh Allen make even more poor decisions. So from that standpoint, I feel pretty confident about the win. I'm not saying it's not going to be a close game and it's not going to be a battle, but I do feel confident that the Seahawks are going to come out on top.
I'm with you. I also had this game circled as a loss. And just earlier today, I posted my little section of my prediction music video, just that part that is for the Bills. And I posted it because I did predict that we were going to lose this game. But then I said, but I'm changing my prediction. So the video still plays, but I'm changing the score, which we'll talk about the scores in a second. But I agree. It's because of the recent trends of what we're seeing. I do believe we're seeing their true colors. And, you know, it is that you can. How many teams have we seen start hot, right? 4-0, 5-0. The Atlanta Falcons a few years ago started out like 6-0, and then they went on a horrible losing streak, and they became what they were. Yep. And so I think it's kind of the same thing. You're right, Steezy. I think they are a bit of pretenders here in that 6-2 record. Yeah, they should have lost that game last week. If Cam Newton doesn't fumble, they're at least tying it, sending to overtime, or they're winning that game because it looked like they weren't going to stop him, and they kind of stopped themselves. But the Patriots have not been playing well, so they kind of struggled against a team. Not to say again that whole thing of, well, if these guys struggle against them, that whole thing, we know that doesn't translate. It's all about the matchups. But I do like the way Seattle matches up. But it is going to take some important things going into our keys. So let's do that right here. Let's talk about our keys to the game. So, but first, there was a couple of super chats, and one's coming up right here. So earlier, though, I'm going to recognize the super chat from Hawks Asylum, NorbCam, and the 4 Hawksmen. I have the Seahawks winning 31-27 against the Bills. Hopefully, Carson makes it week 9. Bills' weakness is the run. And let's do this sultry voice of this next super chat.
Gonna be sunny and 70, no cold like you feared, Norb.
Ryan B in the super chat says, gonna be sunny and 70, no cold like you feared, Norb. Because I talked about it was gonna be too damn cold in Buffalo. Well, I was wrong about that too, because it had been cold and miserable in a lot of these games, and all of a sudden we're seeing 60, 70 degrees. Who'd have thought? The sun's coming out to welcome Seattle. It's gonna be warmer there than coming from here, which is crazy. So I hopefully all this stuff helps Seattle in terms of just maximizing their chances of success, because we have had some struggles in rainy, wet games. So if it's gonna be nice like that, that only helps Russell Wilson in that vaunted passing game. So let's go to our keys. You brought it up, Squabo, so why don't you start it? What are your keys to this game to get a win?
You know, every single week now, I try and connect my keys to build a philosophy for a game plan that once we get going, it kind of helps itself continue into success. So my first key for Seattle, get the lead early. Let's punch them in the mouth. We're the dogs. They're the front runners. If we show them that we're the better team instantly right off the bat, they're going to start, their tail is going to go between their legs. They're going to start shaking like booty meat. They're going to get concerned, and that's what I want to see for Seattle. So let's punch them in the mouth. Let's get the lead early offensively. Second of all, and this is enabled by getting the lead early, let's maintain offensive versatility. You look at this defense, obviously as an offense, we want to pass the ball. We're the whole let Russ cook mantra this year, but this defense sucks at run defense. So I want to be able to run the football and pass the football. How do you do that? By having the lead in the ball game. So get the lead, have offensive versatility, take advantage of their poor run defense, and against anyone, we can pass the ball. So, of course, I want to see us pass the ball as well. And then the final key for me, let's key in on Josh Allen and his ability to run the football. Last week, we saw Zach Moss and Devin Singletary run the football. So the run game as a whole is going to be a focal point. I want to force Josh Allen to beat us with his arm, but that also means we have to stop him from beating us with his legs. And he can and will do so if you allow him 5 rushing touchdowns on the season in like a 16-5 touchdown interception ratio in terms of in the air. So I want to see us shut down Josh Allen's rushing attack. And one way that we're going to be able to do that is by having the lead, making him air the ball down the field and setting that contain on the outside against a big physical guy like Allen. We've struggled against mobile quarterbacks in the past, and we've had some success at times. And when we have success, it's because we've contained them. So let's contain Josh Allen, let's get the lead, and let's have offensive versatility.
I like it. Steezy, how about you? What are your keys to this game?
So key number 1, let's lock in on the NFL second leading wide receiver in Stephon Diggs. He's currently number 2 in receiving yards, number 2 in receptions, and number 1 in targets, with also 3 touchdowns on the side. He is their passing offense. Last season, they didn't have a passing attack, and he's the sole reason why their passing attack is even relevant to begin with. And I understand that Shaquille Griffin might not play this season, and so we're not going to have our best cover guy. And so if that's the case, I think we should try to double cover him and let guys like John Brown or Cole Beasley beat us, who, quite frankly, I don't think they're capable of doing that. And so I think if we lock in on Stephon Diggs, who's been one of the best wide receivers in all of football, that's going to limit Josh Allen and his ability to be able to be effective in the passing game. And so lock up Stephon Diggs is my key number 1. Key number 2, let's win the turnover battle. Right now in the NFL, we're 3rd with in turnover differential. I think we're +7, and then Buffalo's -1. And they're in the bottom 16 or in the bottom half of the NFL in turnover differential. As Brian alluded to earlier, Josh Allen at times can get wild with the football. And Seattle is number 1 or tied for number 1 in takeaways in the NFL with 7, with the Chiefs, the Bucks, and the Browns, despite playing one less game. And so we're definitely going to be able to capitalize on Josh Allen's propensity to throw picks and make boneheaded decisions. And that's only going to be enhanced by the fact that Jamal Adams is going to come in. He's going to be another disruptor. Carlos Dunlap, we're going to have another disruptor. Hopefully Damon Snacks Harrison plays. I don't know if he's going to play, but we're going to have a whole bunch of reinforcements coming in. And so if we're able to disrupt Josh Allen, force a few turnovers, that should bode well for our chances of winning the football game. And number 3, I'm with Noah. I mean, force Josh Allen to beat us with his arm and not his legs. He's been one of the very best quarterbacks in all the NFL when it comes to rushing the football. He's top 5 in rushing touchdowns for a quarterback and top 6 in rushing yards by a quarterback. And so his one weakness is still his ability to pass the football. And so if we're able to key in on his passing game, and if we're able to key in on his ground attack, then he's rendered almost irrelevant as well. And so my 3 keys: lock in on one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, Stephon Diggs. Use double coverage, use bracket coverage, whatever it takes. Be physical with them at the line of scrimmage. Bump them up. 2, win the turnover battle. And then 3, force Josh Allen to beat us with his legs, or with his arms and not his legs.
All right. I like that. So, Brian, how about your keys, man?
Yeah, I think my keys are pretty rudimentary and repetitive. Ball control. I think that the Bills' run defense has been exposed, and this might be another opportunity for DJ Dallas to show what he's got. I think we all saw a different player, the one that we've been hearing about, the one that we saw in Miami. Not only did he run well last week, he was able to improve on his pass protection. I expect whoever's running the ball to be able to control the clock and to be able to run on that Bills defense. Number 2, win the turnover battle. This defense has to create turnovers. I think it goes without saying a key is Russ has to be Russ, so I'm just going to set that out there. My 3rd key is Dunlap, Carlos Dunlap. It's your first game back into the NFL. You're happy now. You're with a team. let's see what you got. Let's put some fear into Josh Allen and watching you bull rush and come off the edge and crush him and put that pressure on to get him thinking a lot, to do exactly what Steezy said, make some more silly decisions. So Carlos Dunlap's my third key.
All right. Well, I'll share my keys as well, and I think they're all sort of overlapping with what you guys got, because I think we all see the same formulas coming out here to being part of this winning formula. But I'm with you, Squabo. I think we got to let Russ cook early, man. Let's get that early lead. Let's do, the one good thing about that game against the Cardinals, I loved how we came out firing. We were just like, every play was practically a first down. I think we had 1 second down on that first drive. We just took command and just said, try and stop us. He was throwing the ball, a run here and there, but I just think Russ will just start cooking. Just get that lead, and just right from the get-go, show them, they know what we can do. And let's just go do it. Let's just show them that we've got the best wide receiving tandem in the NFL. Let's use them. Let's get DK. They're scared of DK. DK is the talk of the town, talk of the league. Let's just see what they can do, And I don't think there's going to be able to stop him. And so I'd say we let Russ cook early, get that early lead, and then when they get the ball on the next series, pressure, blitz. Jamal Adams has been, sitting on his couch. He's dying to get out there, I know. And so I want to see him like a man with his hair on fire, going out there, chasing him down, putting pressure on the quarterback, hitting the runner behind the line of scrimmage, screaming off the end. I just want to see Adams disrupting everything. I want to see Wagner blitzing some more. He seems happy doing it. Keep doing it. I want to see some corners off the edge, mix them, a corner and a linebacker going at the same time. I don't care if it exposes some stuff in the middle. I'm convinced that we get in there, he's not going to have time to think about his hot routes or anything like that. And then, of course, Carlos Dunlap, you're right. He's finally with a team who's happy to have him. He's in a contending situation, which he's never had with the Bengals. He could get to a Super Bowl, for crying out loud. And so I want to see him do what we have been wishing for all season, a defensive end who can get consistent pressure. This guy's had the lowest sack total he's ever had, is higher than our highest sack total guy last year. So let's see him just get close to his card, and he's going to be destroying it out there. That guy's tall, man. I saw some practice footage of him. That dude makes DK Metcalf look short. That guy is huge out there. So he gets those big arms out there. He might be swatting balls down. Who knows? He might tip one in the air, get an interception. So I just want to see that pressure, that combination of guys zinging in, zinging out around the corner, Dunlap doing his thing from his base position. And then finally, like you said, Brian, we got to win the turnover battle. All this stuff aside, we've got to win the turnover battle, because if you do all those things and you don't win the turnover battle, it could all be all for naught, which is what happened against the Cardinals. And we have won every single game that we won the turnover battle in. So we got to keep that going. That's got to just be consistent. Protect the ball, hang on to the ball, and get some turnovers. Force the turnovers. Force Josh Allen to do some stupid things, like you said. And we should win this game. And Alina Dahl with the super chat.
Hey Norb, are you going to break out the face paint Sunday?
Alina Dahl wants to know, am I gonna break out the face paint on Sunday? So look, I'm a big believer in not messing with a win streak, and so we're on a streak now. Only one game, so I think I'm not going to yet because it's going well. But if we have another game that we drop, I guarantee the face paint's coming the next time we lose a game. So that'll be the next thing. So there we go. Keep the win streak going until I have reason to change it. All right, so I say let's get into our score predictions for this game. Squabo, let's start with you, man. What do you think is going to be the result of the Seahawks-Bills game this Sunday?
Well, Russell Wilson is one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL. And the Bills are doing Buffalo this week, and Russell Wilson's not going to have a problem paying them. I say Seattle's a team full of dogs. Buffalo is a team full of front runners. 38-27, Seahawks win, going away.
Wow, 38-27. All right. Let's go to Steezy. Are you ready, Steezy, for your score prediction?
Yes, sir. I got Seattle, contender, 34, and then Buffalo Bills, the pretender, 27.
Okay. All right. Pretty high scoring. How about you, Brian?
3-2 Hawks. How would that be?
Boring.
Not
add some
really.
zero- let's add some zeros to
That'd be a
this.
great defensive game for Seattle. We would love to see that, wouldn't we? No, I think we're looking at something a little bit closer to 27-17.
Same score from last week.
Okay, yeah.
I'll hit it one of these weeks, Noah.
Well, as I said for my score prediction, I'm flipping from what I said because I originally predicted a loss in my music prediction video, but I'm going to still stay somewhat true with it. So the difference now is that I had a 28-21 Seattle losing originally. Well, I'm just flipping the teams on which side of the numbers. So this time it's going to be Seattle 28, Buffalo Bills 21.
Nice.
I'll be just fine with that. We don't need to be over 30 points every single time. He can still have 4 touchdowns. So we'll see if that happens. But, yeah, early morning game. We're past the early morning game thing. So, let's see. What else do we want to talk about? We already mashed on the 49ers for a while here, but it's worth bringing up because there could be potentially an effect down here. So the 49ers already just riddled with injuries. Okay, then they get beat by Seattle, practically knocking them out of the conversation of any chance of them getting back in this division hunt. And then they have a short week to play against the Green Bay Packers Thursday night, tomorrow night. And then on top of that, they get hit with COVID. Who was the receiver who got Kendrick Bourne? Gets diagnosed with COVID, and they shut the facility down so nobody can practice. Several guys have been ruled out of the game because of exposure to him. I mean, I don't even know if they have enough players for a team, do they? I mean, they basically, between injuries and now guys not even able to play with COVID, I think it's pretty safe to say that 49ers are done. Stick a fork in them. I'm not even going to knock on wood on that. It's done. They're done, man. Anyone care to cover and put a safety net on that? But I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Man,
No?
a little bit ahead of yourself, I think, Norb. Let's not forget the 49ers are fourth place in the NFC West. They would be winning the NFC East right now. They would be in first place. Like, this is still a potential playoff team. Maybe Jimmy Garoppolo going down is a good thing for the 49ers. They're going to want to move off of him anyways here shortly, and it's pretty clear why. So Kyle Shanahan finally has an excuse to go away from Jimmy Garoppolo, and that actually might benefit San Francisco. Let's not forget, this week they're playing Green Bay on a short week, who they have a mental advantage against, visiting. Think back to their 2 matchups last year, and A.J. Dillon is in COVID protocols as well for Green Bay. So Green Bay's dealing with COVID as well. It's not just San Francisco. So San Francisco, there's an extra team that makes the playoffs. I could still see them squeaking into the playoffs somehow.
Wow. Had to say that, didn't you? You just had to do it. Well, so in this case, who are you guys rooting for? I was asked this question. Should I root? My sister asked me, texted me, no, should I root for the 49ers or should I root for the Packers? And I had that same question come up last time when the 49ers were playing. Who were they playing? They were playing against against the Rams. And I think I was wishing for the 49ers, and they did it. And I think it worked out, especially since we beat them on Sunday. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is it have the Packers put them down and pretty much bury them for good? Or can we use that little help down the stretch to have the Packers they had a bad loss this past weekend, knock them down another peg, get that lead even farther in the NFC seeding? I don't know. What do you guys think? Brian, go ahead, Brian.
Sorry, I was just going to say, if we were battling the 49ers for the division, yeah, you're going to root for the Packers, but it's not going to come down to the 49ers. It's going to come down to, if we don't win the division, what happens next? And the Green Bay Packers could come into play there. So, always rooting for the Packers to lose now.
Okay, so you're rooting for the 49ers. Put together with duct tape and spit and gum somehow for them to get a win against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I want to feel what it feels like to root for a loser. So, yeah, I'll be rooting for the 49ers.
It'll be fun. It's fun to watch when you can kind of say, if they win, that's good. And if they lose, that's good too.
That's good.
You know?
Yeah,
It's
right,
a win-win, lose-lose situation for them. So, but I don't know. You guys have a different take on it. That was Brian's take. How about you, Steezy? Who are you rooting for?
Nah, I definitely got to root for the Niners. I mean, I could never root for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. And I mean, with the Niners, I like their team colors at least. So, you know, there's something going for them. So I'll root for the Niners in this one, just so I could also troll all the Niner fans that I know and make it look like I'm on their team for a little bit. So, yeah.
It's funny how we change allegiances so quickly if it'll help us out. How about you, Squabo? You're the voice of reason over there saying, oh, well, they could be a potential playoff team at the end of the season, so we don't want to underestimate them. Squabo, defend yourself. Who are you rooting for?
Hey, just for the record, man, at least I'm not as sus as Calvin over there. It's easy, man. You got the Niners jersey in your room. You got the boys fans. You know what I'm saying? You know how many Niner fans that man Steezy has introduced me to? I can't even count. He got too many friends down there, bro. Too many friends. He knows too many people.
He said he likes the colors. He said he likes the colors, so, you know, he can't help himself, you know.
They're pretty stylish, and that's the problem, man. Steezy break those alliances for the colors, man. He got a big wardrobe on fleek. Credit to him. He got a wardrobe. Credit to him. But in terms of this game, I'm rooting for San Francisco because Green Bay's still in contention for the number 1 seed. And I just really can't stand the Packers. And of these two teams, I'd honestly rather play the Niners because the Packers have a much better quarterback. And down the stretch, I'd rather play the Niners, so I'm going to root for the Niners.
All right, so I just have one thing to say for Thursday. Go Niners! Yeah! Go Niners! Woohoo! Yes, you're not the only one who owns. You're not the only one, Steezy, who owns some San Francisco 49er merch. I am proud to say I actually bought this. One of the best freaking investments I ever made. For those of you who think, oh, Norb's not a true Seahawks fan because he bought 49ers gear. Come on, man. It's a method to the madness. My gosh.
Yeah, man.
Some of these people in the comments.
That jersey in my room, that's a Colin Kaepernick jersey. So, you know, I'm supporting the man.
Yeah, no, there's a reason why. You didn't just randomly pick some 49er jersey at randomness. You actually had a method. I understand. It makes sense. All right. Let's see. Anything else we want to talk about? I know, Steezy, you brought up about the kind of the change with all these new players that we got. The defensive depth chart has been changing a lot, and you had brought up that you wanted to kind of talk about, you know, how does this change? You know, obviously we've been in last place as a defense, but, you know, I think you're kind of thinking here that, you know, with all these very huge changes to the defense and players coming in and more to potentially come in, how might that change things? You brought that up, so why don't you start with it? I do have a depth chart here that we could look at, but I want to get your take.
Right.
What is it that you wanted where are you getting at with that argument? Do you feel like this defense is potentially setting up for a paradigm shift that could take them out of the basement of the defensive rankings and maybe move us up to something else? What say you, man?
I think it's probably going to have to wait maybe another week or so, because that was before I thought that Shaquille Griffin, or that was before I found out that Shaquille Griffin was most likely going to be out in this game. And so, you know, essentially what I'm trying to say is that a lot of people are saying that we have the worst defense in football, if not the second worst or third worst. But I mean, with all these guys coming in, keep in mind, DJ Reed, that was his first game with us this last week against the Niners, and he had a pick. We felt his presence already off the bat. And then, you know, you guys alluded to earlier, Jamal Adams. I mean, he's coming back. Snacks Harrison should be coming back in the next week or so. Hopefully Rasheem Green in the next couple of weeks. Michael Kendricks. Who else? Carlos Dunlap. That's just a whole bunch of names right there. And I think that one of the problems that we've had to deal with this entire year is just, you know, injuries and guys not being accustomed to the system. As the season comes along, I think that our defense is going to be a whole lot better. And we're going to have a stretch at the end of the season against like the Giants, the Jets, and the football team. I think that if we're able to hold all those teams to maybe under 15 points, I think that's going to speak to the improvement of our defense, because I feel like if we didn't make all these additions that we made going up against those teams, we allowed, you know, a whole lot of points that maybe we wouldn't or we shouldn't be allowing. And so I just think that with all those guys coming in, that gives us hope. And that kind of alludes to Noah's article from last week. He was talking about why we shouldn't be worried about the Seahawks pass rush. Well, we shouldn't be worried about the entire defense as a whole. And so, that's kind of what I want to speak up on. It wasn't too much to really say, but
I'm confused about Michael Kendricks because I knew they had brought him in, and I thought to the practice squad. And then I read something. Greg Bell of the Seahawks Insider, of the Tacoma News Tribune, put something like they'd released Michael Kendricks, but then
and then
they picked him back up. They picked up, he cleared waivers. Is that basically what happened?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right. So I was just thinking, did I misread something? Okay, that makes sense. So he's still within our limits. He could still make an appearance. So so here is just for giggles, and you know what? I'm going to bring up this. Where is it? Okay, here's the depth chart. Can you guys see that? All right, so. Here we go. We got in the defensive end here. So we got Brian's favorite LJ Collier over here. But underneath him, Carlos Dunlap. I'm expecting this guy to move up to here and become the man over here. Puna 4 has been great so far this season. Glad to see him doing his thing. Brian, is it Brian Monet? Am I pronouncing that Monet? Is that like a French painting? Is it just Monet? I've been saying Monet. It sounds more sophisticated. And then Jaron Reed, Jaron Reed needs to get his sack. It's not even close to the sack number that we dreamed he might have from a couple years ago, but he's still making some plays. Alton Robinson, Benson Mayowa, he should be back. Is he going to be back this week? Do you guys know? In terms of, because I know he didn't play last on Sunday, and I don't know if he's off the list or not, but I hope he does. That guy's been pretty good player for us. And then Alton Robinson finally getting some plays. He's getting in there. Obviously, no DeAndre Moore, sadly. And then we got our linebackers. Jordan Brooks is doing well. Shaquem Griffin's in situational pass rush situations. Bobby Wagner, defensive player of the week, as we talked about. Cody Barton, man. I can't say too much about Cody Barton, man, because he's been, talk about a great backup guy stepping up, right? With Jordan Brooks being injured, and Cody Barton has been doing well. I mean, didn't he help cause that fumble on special teams? He's the guy who knocked the ball loose, if I'm not mistaken. That was a pretty key to Seattle getting that big lead. So Cody Barton, man, great to see these guys, stepping up. So let's see a couple of the names.
Barton? Cody Barton is slept on, and I completely agree. I'm super happy that you brought it up. He's one of those hard-nosed players that coaches just love to have on your side. Not the best right now. He's going to earn a spot at some point, if not in Seattle, then elsewhere. And we could be on a Super Bowl run this year in Seattle. Cody Barton could have a Malcolm Smith-like performance in the Super Bowl if we were to get there. Cody Barton is that good where an injury in front of him or an opportunity opens up and he hops onto the field and just in a very important game, he has a very, very big impact because he's just that good of a player. Cody Barton, a secure tackler, a hard-nosed hitter, loves playing football, loves playing for Seattle. He's the type of guy that Seattle wants at linebacker.
Well, hey, Cody Barton, man, I mean, he was key. He was one of the key guys in stopping Minnesota. He saved that game. He was part of saving that game when they had to get less than a yard and would have won it. Yep. Cody Barton stuffed that lead back right back into the hole and help the pursuit come and take him down. So KJ, who's been playing well, man. Ben Burkervin, we don't really see him out there, but he's a good special teams guy. He was also in the mix on that hit that caused the turnover against special teams. Trey Flowers.
God, you know what sucks is Trey Flowers is one of the nicest guys ever to be a Seattle Seahawk. This guy is such a nice guy, such a great interview, such a positive attitude. But man, he just can't get it together on the field, and I feel for him. I really do, because I like him a whole lot. But he is a liability, big time.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because we got so many of these other guys in the secondary stepping up and not being liabilities, man. You look at Ryan Neal, right? Practice squad gem that came out and firing, gets an interception against the Cowboys, another one against the Dolphins. Shaquille Griffin, sadly, that he's the guy who's out, injury uncertain with that situation. DJ Reed coming out, getting the pick against his former team. Of course, Jamal Adams, this is guy. Oh man, I can't say how excited to see him back up there. Because remember what he was doing those first 3 games? God, he was everywhere. I just can't wait to see this guy getting back into it. So I hope he's itching as much as we are. And then, Quentin Dunbar over there holding it down. So Ugo Amadi, I think he still has injury issues too, right? He got like a nagging back problem or something. So thank God we've got these guys, Ryan Neal, DJ Reed. I mean, we've got an abundance of these guys in the secondary. So, I think we haven't seen the best version of Seattle yet, where everyone's on the field at the same time. So we're getting close to that, though. So this is a good time for it to happen.
I'm glad to hear DJ Squabo says, don't necessarily worry about the pass rush. And I'm glad to hear Stevie A. Smith saying, hey, don't really worry about the defense, because this is what I tried to tell you guys from day one. It's all going to come together. Just woosah. Just relax, sit back. There's going to be a few bumps. One of the things I didn't foresee was all the injuries keeping multiple guys off the field, but I expected to see a little bit of progress each and every week. Now I think we're getting to that point where we're going to start to see that. Just a little each week is all we need. So when we get in the stretch run, we've got the defense that Steezy thinks we're going to have, and I think we're going to have. And I don't know about DJ Squabo if he agrees too, but I think we're talking top 15 from the back quarter of the season onto the playoffs.
Well, Brian, you've been staying true. Okay, so Squeezy, Squabo, yeah.
Squeezy.
Say Squeezy.
You got to get your T-shirts that say Squeezy.
Oh, we do.
Hey, first of all, Brian, let's not forget, heading into the season, I said Seattle's going to have the best defense out of all of us. I said between 9th is the ceiling and 14th is the floor defensively. Heading into the season, let's not forget that.
Right.
Second of all, I want to point out, heading into this stretch, 8 years ago, when we had this exact same schedule just jumbled up a little bit, we had a couple of 3-game stretch where we had like 45, 50, and 50 in like 3 games in a row. One of them was versus Arizona at home. One of them was at Buffalo. I forget what the third one was, but I look for Seattle right now is the most important stretch of our season. We're at Buffalo now, then we're at the Los Angeles Rams. We had our wake-up call at Arizona where we did a whole bunch of things right, but we did a whole bunch of things wrong and still barely lost. This past week against San Francisco, easily our most impressive victory on the season. I say we can continue that momentum this week, 38-27 victory. Dominant, just the message coming away from it, dang, Seattle's offense is still really good. Let's not forget, Russell Wilson had an extremely good bounce-back performance last week, 4 touchdown passes through the air, 26 to this point in the season, which is the most by any quarterback except Tom Brady in 2007. And it's even tied, if not more than Peyton Manning at this point in his 55 touchdown year. And we didn't even bring that up to this point because we're so used to it with Seattle's offense. In this game, I say Seattle continues the hotness. I say this is the beginning of a big stretch for Seattle because after this gauntlet, after we're at Buffalo and then at the Los Angeles Rams, we get the NFC East and we get the Jets. So there's going to be a really big break in our schedule. I say this is where Seattle gets really hot offensively and shows how much of a contender we really are.
Oh, you said it, man. I've been trying not to drool over myself when I look at the back end of that schedule because, like I said, it's like we're just fighting through these trees and everything's coming at you, and you feel like once you get through this forest, it's like these green pastures of sunny beaches and open space, and we just got to get through this, not without too much damage. And so I'm with you, man. I'm trying not to think too far ahead because you don't want to just start thinking about the good stuff and just get one moment at a time. But I agree with you, man.
We're not players. We're not players. We get the luxury of looking ahead.
Screw that one game at a time crap. Let's look ahead, man. Super Bowl, here we come. Where's the Super Bowl again this year? It's in somewhere sunny, I believe.
Next week, I don't even want to preview the team we're playing. Let's preview the team a week ahead.
Hey, it's funny that you transitioned. You brought that point up because Alina Dahl in the Super Chat says, do you think Russell will beat Brady's record for touchdowns? I assume she's talking about that season. Was that the Brady's record for one single season?
Manning has 55.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Manning's. Okay, maybe she's talking about long-term Brady for career, because right now he and Breeze, talk about a great game, right? When these guys go at it Sunday night, Breeze and Brady, the two BRs going at each other with the touchdown record back and forth in one game. That never will happen again like that. But maybe that's what Alina's ask is, do we think that Russell, in time, obviously he's going to put a few more seasons behind him, but could he eventually catch that coveted touchdown record? If he keeps this rate up, he might break the season. He could break that single season touchdown record and jumpstart that potential for doing the touchdowns for a career. He had a slower start, We're thinking about Russell is that we were on that run first team for those first few years, so he didn't have the volume in the first couple of seasons, but he started to pick it up when he started to get to like 2015 and 16 and that so forth. So it'll be fun to watch, though. But yeah, I mean, isn't Russell on pace to get like 60 touchdowns if he were to keep this pace up? That's crazy. I mean, he could break that what seems like insurmountable record, but. I know, we'll see. But yeah, Sunday Night Football will be a good one. So hopefully it'll be start off with a great win by Seattle, watch some entertaining stuff in between, and then I'll tune in and get the popcorn for that last game. That's going to be something else fun to watch. Okay. Well, I think we've covered it all. Are you guys ready for some Kahoot trivia? I got some good stuff here. Again, help from Joseph23, who submitted his second trivia to me. And if you guys, just to the audience out there, if you guys have a Kahoot trivia you'd like to have me show and play on the show here, send it to me on Kahoot. My username there is NorbCam12 on Kahoot. So you can send it to me, and I might just feature it on here. So Joseph23, thank you for submitting this. I did make some changes, but not many. This one was pretty good. Went old school. So, all right, let's do this thing. Let me get the screen up here and show you guys the Kahoot number. So, get your Kahoot app ready. Get your Kahoot.com. And I gotta say to Rohan, if you're out there, man, give everybody a break, because you won like the last two. I got you on there over the fan panel over the weekend, but man, let somebody else win one for a turn here. All right, just focus on your homework and let somebody else win. All right, here we go. Let's do this.
It's probably gonna happen. So I'm not feeling too bright this evening. So we'll see.
Well, we'll see, man. Brian, as far as the panel's concerned, though, Brian has had this two-game winning streak here, which is very, very impressive, I must say. So let me just fix something here. I gotta get you guys. You're like hiding behind the thing here. So there we go. Boom. There we go. All right. Here's the number. Get ready for the Kahoot. The number is 311-4159. Join the game, 311-4159. Last time we had over 100 players sign up, which blew my mind. Let's see how many we get this time. There you go, filling it up. Jake the Snake, Go Hawks, NorbFam Nation, Cameron Hughes, Noah, Dangerous, T-Man, Joe, DK is GOAT. We got 33 all in a quick way. Big Boy DK, WK Gaming, Steezy A. Smith, Seahawks Zion. Oh, we got Norb's Balls again. Kanye West, 55 of you. Russ Metcalf, Coop King, NorbCam Pizza. I love these names, man. You guys kill it with the names. You kill me, man, with this. Again, the number is 311-4159. Yeah, 66, 68, 69, 70. Can we break 100 again? Something tells me we are. Our score to 75, 78. Close to 80, over 80 now. Holy smokes, this is insane. Super Bowl Cham, Coop King, Norb's Fungus, what the heck? Martin Fan, Russ for Prez, Let Russ Cook, Archan, 12-Man Seahawks, You Like Jazz, Jarek, Russ for MVP, DK Swole, Calf, Jilla, Schmilligod! Oh, Schmilligod, you were so close last time. I was pulling for you. Norb Small Balls. Come on, man. Get off my balls. Jeez. How did you know? I mean, wait. Schmilligood. We got Schmilligood. Schmilligod, you're so famous. We've got people imitating your name, too. 96. We're going to get to 100. I give you 15 more seconds to get there. 98. Come on, break the century mark. Let's do it. Bills are epic. 100. Woo! 101. All right. We'll give you 10 more seconds. Again, the number's 311-4159. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and we are off and running. NorbCam Kahoot, here we go. By Joseph23. Thank you for your assistance, Joseph23. Let's do this. Question number 1. What was the score of the last Seahawks-Bills game? 38-9, 50-17, 34-10, or 31-25? What was the score of the last Seahawks-Bills game from 4 years ago? 38-9, 50-17, 34-10, or 31-25? Time is up. Oh, look at that. YouTube on it. 57 of you guys got that correct. Yes, 31-25. That was here at CenturyLink Field last time. Let's go to the panel, starting with Steve Z.
I said 31-25 because I think that last game, it came down to the last play, right? And then we had that goal line stand.
Yeah.
But I think on our end, there was a defensive pass interference that wasn't called, but I mean,
that's right. That's right. That was that same game when I remember Richard Sherman kind of dove at the field goal kicker's leg when he was kicking, and then the next day or two, the kicker's wife went off on Sherman with some very racially charged comments. Oh, that's 4 years ago. Seems so long ago now. Squabo.
It was a primetime game, I believe. I remember that game very well. And got it right.
All right, Brian. Got to keep up with the youngins.
I too got it right, and I think that the one score on there, maybe the 50-point game, wasn't that pretty close to the game 4 years before that we played Buffalo in like Ontario or something?
It wasn't just close; it was the score of that game. That's when Seattle they ripped off a couple of back-to-back doozies, 58-0 against the Cardinals, and then this game 50-17, where Earl Thomas got his first pick six, if I recall.
Yeah,
Earl Thomas.
Nice.
Earl Thomas didn't have as many pick sixes as I thought you thought he might have, right? I count 2. Did he have more than that? Might be a good trivia question. I remember 2. There was that one. They had one against the Texans a few years ago. Outside of that, I can't remember another pick six that he had. No, you have to answer that. We'll research it later. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. Kanye West at number 1, Tyler Greaves in second, Lock It Up in third, Cal Bal in fourth, and Let DJ Cook in fifth. Let's go to the next question. Number 2, which player holds the record for most games started as a Seahawk? Walter Jones, Matt Hasselbeck, Max Strong, or Steve Largent? Which player holds the record for most games started as a Seahawk? Walter Jones, Matt Hasselbeck, Max Strong, or Steve Largent? Record for most games started as a Seahawk. Time is up. Okay, wow, YouTube's 2 for 2. Go with the Hall of Famer, of course, Steve Largent. Let's go to the panel, starting with Steve Z.
I was about this close to choosing Walter Jones, but ultimately I decided with Steve Largent just because he has so many of the receiving records for Seattle. So I was like, you know what? Got to go with that franchise legend, Steve Largent.
Good call. Squabo.
This was one of those that I researched a while back when creating Boelter for my show. And I also didn't want to get beat by some of the guys that played before my time again. So I went with Largent.
Okay. All right. So what say you, Brian? You going to stay up with these guys?
I say I felt like you're trying to build this trivia for me to try to win again, asking old dude questions like that. Yeah, of course I got it.
Hey.
That dude, Steve Largent, was 5'10" or 11, 187 pounds, and just an incredible Iron Man. Just, you would never look at that guy ever in your life and think he was an incredible NFL football player, but he was amazing.
They always talk about he wasn't the fastest, he wasn't the biggest, he wasn't the strongest, but man, the guy could run routes and he had wonderful hands. He had no gloves. He was just bare hands, right? None of the sticky gloves, none of that stuff. It was all Steve Largent hands, man. The guy was, he just found a way to get open, man. It was amazing.
Steve Largent, just a side note, was back in the day, there used to be a place called Sears in Crossroads, Overlake area in Bellevue. And a lot of times the Seahawks would go there to give autographs. And Steve Largent, Jim Zorn were there. And Steve Largent taught a bunch of us standing around how to catch a football the right way and make that diamond shape with your hands. He goes, you got to look through that and see the tip of the football coming and then close around it. So I got a professional lesson from a Hall of Famer on how to catch a football when I was like 7 years old.
Now, if only Ricardo Lockett had gone to Sears on the Super Bowl 49 catch and did that kind of a catch, we wouldn't be freaking. Anyway, that's great. I remember that too. I went to that same Sears. I met linebacker Terry Beeson. Do you remember him? Number 58?
Oh, yeah, of course, Terry B. Yeah.
That was the first time I met Terry Beeson. I think also.
Sammy Green?
I didn't. Well, not that night. I just remember that was the first time I went to a Seahawks event. I was like, "Oh my gosh, Seahawks linebacker!" But I remember, oh gosh, what was the name of the big guy for Cairo at the time?
Wayne Cody.
Wayne Cody
was at all those events.
Wayne Cody was at that thing, and I remember I had never seen him on camera before, right? Because I always heard his voice. He's got a great voice. I didn't realize how big this dude was. I remember seeing him walk up to the mic and say, "Hey, I'm Wayne Cody." I was like, "Oh my gosh, this guy's way bigger than I thought he was going to be." It's one of those, things that sounds a certain way, and then your mind has an imagination of what he looks like, and that was not what I expected. But yeah, good childhood memories, man. We're talking 1979, probably 78, one of those years.
Yep, right. 70, probably 79.
I was just a youngster back then. Anyway, good memories. All right, let's go to the YouTube scoreboard to see how everybody's doing so far. Oh, big changes. Dangerous in first place. DK versus Buddha in second. Micah Lee in third. Goat in fourth. And Big Boy DK in fifth. All new names in the top five. Let's go to the next question. Number 3. On which college campus did the Seahawks first hold training camp? University of Washington, Eastern Washington University, Washington State University, or Northwest College? On which college campus did the Seahawks hold their first training camp? University of Washington, Eastern Washington University, Washington State University, or Northwest College? 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Time is up. Oh, okay. Some of YouTube got that. They fell for the University of Washington trap, but Eastern Washington University was the correct answer. 29 of you on YouTube got this correct. Let's go to the panel. Steezy.
We'll make it 30. I don't remember who said this or when I heard this, but I just remember being told a couple of months ago that they had a training camp over there, or they held training camp over at Eastern. So
I may have asked this before. I know I asked a question about training camp before, so I'm pretty sure I might have had this on mine. But way to go, man. You guys are on fire right here. Squabo.
Oh, you gotta do me like that. I was looking at this. Look, the one time I'm a Cougar. This is the one time I will pick the Huskies, and I was wrong to do so. I'm never doing it again.
Oh man! Oh no, Squabo got this one wrong. Drops to 2 points, or stays at 2, while Steezy moves up to 3. Brian, what you got?
Jack Patera started taking him over to Eastern Washington to get him away from the scene here, to get him to bond together, to put him in the dorms, and they absolutely hated it. It was 110 degrees every single day. Jack Patera barely ever let him have water. He was that kind of old school guy, and they were miserable. And I think that's what led to eventually bringing training camp back here to the west side in the later years under Holmgren.
Yeah, and man, talk about a stark difference. If you look at the posh, beautiful place they work out at now with, nice, comfortable temperatures. And if it's raining, they just go inside where it's a nice, balmy 65, 70 degrees. None of this 100-degree crazy stuff. But of course, back then, men were men and they had hair on their chest. And we didn't know very about concussions. We didn't care about protocols. We just went out there and killed each other. So, maybe they were tougher back then, but...
They might have been. Their original training camp was on the water in downtown Kirkland and Caroline Point before they moved up to Northwest College and then to Renton. They had a gorgeous facility. I mean, I don't know if it was state of the art for the time, but the location was incredible. Yet they decided to go to the dustiest dust bowl under the hottest heat lamp they could find to toughen up their guys.
Yeah, they sure did. I'm sure the guys are happy those days are long gone. All right, so let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. Dangerous holds it at first. Mehul moves to second. Kanye West in third. Russ for MVP in fourth. And Lock It Up in fifth place. Next question. Number 4. Which quarterback holds the record for most passing yards versus Seattle? Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, or Ben Roethlisberger? Which quarterback holds the record for most passing yards versus Seattle? Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, or Ben Roethlisberger? Time is up. Ooh, YouTube foiled on this one. The answer is Ben Roethlisberger. I got to give credit to Joseph23 again. This is his trivia. I added a couple here and there, but for the most part, these are his questions and his answers too. So I did not verify these, so I'm assuming he did his homework. Yeah, 17 of you guys only got it correct. Ben Roethlisberger, not the name that would probably jump out. Most of you thought Peyton Manning or Joe Montana, but let's see what the panel thought. Steezy.
I said TB. I mean, looking back at all these guys, I don't think none of them played Seattle that many times. And so the most amount of games that I can remember being played against Seattle by one of these guys was Tom Brady. So that's why I went with Tom Brady. But
Squabo, chance to tie the group.
I said Peyton. I thought
that would have been a good, given that he's got all those passing records, you'd think that could be a good answer.
You would think, but I thought wrong.
Okay, so the score hasn't changed, but Brian, a chance to take the lead ahead of both these guys. Brian, any luck on this?
Well, I ruled out Joe Montana right out of the gate, but then the next one I ruled out was Ben Roethlisberger. I too went with Tom Brady.
Gotcha. Well, I know that remember that shootout against the Steelers back in 2016, I want to say, where I believe Baldwin got the winning touchdown around the right sideline towards the south end zone in a shootout. It was like 39-33, or I don't know, something like that. There was a lot of yards being passed in that game. That's probably where he got most of those. All right, so the score does not change. Good question there, Joseph. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard and see how things shake up after that little tricky question. Dangerous stays in first. DK versus Buddha moves back up to second. Win in third place. Mehul at fourth place. And Go Hawks moves into the top 5 at number 5. All right, next question. Which of the following were not submitted by Seattle fans as possible names for the football team in 1975? Not submitted. Squirrels, the Gooey Ducks, the Anchovies, or the Traffic Jammers? Which of these names were not submitted as a possible name for the team back in 1975? The Squirrels, the Gooey Ducks, the Anchovies, or the Traffic Jammers? Which one was not submitted? Time is up. Yeah, actually, it's funny you guys got this. Squirrels is the correct, or I should say the wrong answer. The one that was not submitted by the fans as a possible name. The Seattle Squirrels was not a name, but apparently the Seattle Gooey Ducks, the Seattle Anchovies, and the Seattle Traffic Jammers, apparently all potential names before they finally settled on the Seahawks. Thank God they went with that. Let's go to the scoreboard. I did not know any of these. This was a completely out of the blue question, so let's see how you guys do. Steezy.
I mean, these are all goofy, but the goofiest of them all was Go Eat Ducks. So I looked at that and I was just like, no way somebody turned that in. Oh my gosh.
I think it's meant, I don't know if it's really spelled that way, but I think they make Gooey Ducks, the big clams that dig their way, so I don't know if that's how it was submitted or if that's just the way Joseph put it in here, but either way, come on, man, the Gooey Ducks, really? All right, so Steezy stays at 3, Squabo. This is all luck, really, more than anything else. Squabo?
I disagree, Norb. I got my suit on. I can't find my glasses, but I feel like a student. And I feel like I'm starting to figure out this trivia. I got this one right, but I can't tell you why.
Okay.
Hiding his secrets.
Okay, all right. The last time you did that, you went on like a 6-game losing streak, and then you missed the rest of the trivia. After you claimed you figured it out. Of course, you thought you figured me out. This is not my trivia, though. That's the difference. Brian, you got a 3-way tie for 3 points each, but you could be the sole possession of first place if you get this one right.
Yeah, so I figured gooey ducks, yeah, that's a PNW thing. Anchovies, that's kind of stretching it. That's a PNW thing, though. Traffic jammers, I was debating because in 75, traffic was nothing like it is now. But I figured squirrels has really nothing specific to do with the PNW, so I picked that.
Nice thought process, breaking it down. I like your logic. When you put it that way, it's so simple. Okay, let's go to the YouTube scoreboard and see how we're doing after the squirrels, the Seattle Squirrels. Never took the field. Whoa, big changes. Go Hawks moves to number 1. Dangerous drops to 2nd. DK versus Buddha slides to 3rd. Win to 4th. And Mehul in 5th place. All right, we got a tight little race going on here. Let's go to the next question. Number 6, halfway there. In what year did both Brian Bosworth and Steve Largent retire? 1989, 1991, 1993, or 1987? What year did both Brian Bosworth and Steve Largent retire? 89, 91, 93, or 87? Bosworth and Largent. 89, 91, 93, or 87? Time is up, and wow, you guys killed it on YouTube. Look at that. 41 of you guys got the correct answer. 1989. Yeah, good guessing there by the audience. Let's go to Steezy. How well do you know your Bosworth and Largent collaborative retirement history?
Apparently not very well. I said 1993, just because Largent was able to accumulate such good numbers throughout the course of his career. I kind of figured that, choosing the latest of the dates would be possible, but I guess not. So
part of it is the Bosworth didn't play very long for Seattle. One of the biggest disappointments with all the hype him coming in here. But Squabo, any luck on these dates?
So I still trust my formula, but this was more of a factoid-based question. I got this one wrong.
There he goes.
My logic with this one, I was just thinking, didn't Largent play for 11 years for Seattle and starting in 76? So I just said 87. I was 2 years off.
Yep, that was close. So Brian, this feels like it's right in your wheelhouse. Is it?
So Bosworth was drafted in 87 in the supplemental draft, got run over by Bo Jackson in 88, retired in 89. The thing is that him getting run over by Bo Jackson was not his fault. He was actually in position to make a play that he shouldn't have been in, but another linebacker missed their assignment. People don't realize that. So I got it right.
Oh, look at that. So Brian jumps up with 5 points and leaving Steezy and Squabo with only 3. Wasn't it shoulder problems that eventually ended his career?
Yeah, he was doing so much juice at Oklahoma that it ended up breaking his body down. He had already had those injuries. He was playing with injuries and shoulder problems, which were already there when he was damaged goods when he got to the Seahawks. But by the way, he did lead the team in tackles at least one of the years that he played. So even though he was a bust, he wasn't as worthless as people's perception of him is.
I think it's just the bar was so high, and when you got such a high expectation, and at the time that was a huge deal, that he got playing for us, just couldn't live up to it. Sad bit, but he's still around. Actually, he raised the flag, if you guys recall. He raised the flag at that last game against the 49ers. I was there on the top of that. I was on that platform. I was right up there with him when he raised the flag. Me and my dad got invited to be up on the 12 flag raising station, so we got to be right there when they brought him up. That was so much fun. Such a fun night.
He's a way different dude now, and really regrets a lot of the things that he built into his persona when he was younger. But I don't know if you watched the 30 for 30 on him, but I highly recommend it if you haven't.
Okay, I have not seen that one. I love those documentaries, so I got to check that one out. I thought the most brilliant move he did was when he wasn't it Bust the Boz. What was he made the T-shirts and sold them himself?
No bozos.
Yeah. He sold the T-shirts to the fans that hated him. I mean, it was such a brilliant. He was such a brilliant marketing guy. All right, let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. See what happens here. Oh, big changes again. DK versus Buddha goes to number 1. Win slides up to 2nd. Russ for MVP to 3rd. Lock it up in 4th. And Go Hawks slides down to 5th. Next question, number 7. How did the Seahawks get the LOB name? After the Seahawks shut down the 49ers, Richard Sherman got the idea from a comic book, from a sports radio caller, or defensive players celebrated and yelled, boom? How did the Seahawks get that LOB name? Shutting down the 49ers? Richard Sherman from a comic book? A sports radio caller? Or defensive players yelling boom? Time is up. Wow, most of you guys got this correct. 23 of you got the guess from a sports radio caller. I remember hearing that radio call actually when somebody actually called in and they were looking for nicknames for the defense, and the radio caller literally said, they were like asking. I can't remember. Was it KJR or was it? Do you know, Brian, if it was ESPN?
It wasn't KJR. It was that other station.
Oh, the other station. Okay.
it was 710, and kudos to them, man. They're part of Seahawks history in putting that segment together and coming up with a name that stuck incredibly well.
I would love to know who the guy was, because somebody out there called in and created a name that is going to last forever in the books of a time period that represents this team, and this is a guy that nobody knows, but somebody had a brilliant idea.
Buddies, I came up with that name, and they're all like, "Yeah,
sure you did." But if he's got that radio call on tape somewhere, he can prove it, but he probably doesn't.
That'd be my ringtone if I did.
Yep. So let's go to the score of the panel. Again, the good trivia question from Joseph 23. Steezy.
Honestly, I had no clue, and so I kind of just went with what I thought was most logical, and I went with defensive players started celebrating by saying boom. It just made sense.
Okay. Yeah, this is a tricky one. It's like if you just don't know it, you just got to take a guess. Squabo.
I remember watching the documentary about the Legion of Boom, and when they were all sitting together, it was years back, like 2012, 2013 when they made it, and it was with Brandon Browner. And they actually said that they got it from a fan. And so I took that knowledge and applied it and got it right.
All right. You actually knew this one. Well done, sir. So, Brian, you seem to have inside knowledge since you knew which radio station it wasn't, the one that you worked for. So does that lead me to the conclusion that you knew the answer to this as well? Yeah,
because I've always been seething in jealousy that we didn't come up with that, so I absolutely knew. All right,
so with that knowledge, it does at least give you the lead in the trivia, and that's more important than having come up with the LOB name.
Damn right.
So let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. DK versus Buddha stays on top. Russ for MVP in second. Lock it up in third. You Like Jazz makes the top 5 in number 4. Not really. Not crazy about Jazz. Win at number 5. Here we go. Next question. Number 8. Which of these players has scored the most touchdowns? Darrell Jackson, Kurt Warner, Marshawn Lynch, or Sean Alexander? Which of these players has scored the most touchdowns? Darrell Jackson, Kurt Warner, Marshawn Lynch, or Sean Alexander? Most touchdowns. Jackson, Warner, Lynch, Alexander. Time is up. 5. We needed a softball toss in here somewhere in there. Yes, it was, of course, Sean Alexander. 42 of you guys got this correct. Let's go to the panel. Steezy.
Man, you guys were all playing softball. I was playing baseball. I said beast mode.
Oh my. Okay. I don't know the numbers. I didn't do the research on what the numbers actually are, so I don't know if it's close or not. But many forget how productive Sean Alexander was during that time, especially during that 2005 team when they should have won the Super Bowl. Squabo, what you got?
When creating Bowl Jeopardy, I remember looking up the players for Seattle that have scored the most points in the history of Seattle. And outside of kicker, Sean Alexander was the top guy, so I said Alexander.
All right, Squabo gets it. Gets 5 points now. Brian with the lead can increase on that if he can get this one right. Brian.
Yeah, unfortunately, I did get it right, which is a shame because I hate to say it because I'm not a Sean Alexander football player fan. I like the human being and the guy. But if Marshawn Lynch or Kurt Warner had the line that Sean Alexander had, they would have blown his numbers away. Kurt Warner was... A lot of people don't remember him because that was a long time ago, but one of the best running backs in the NFL on his way to being a Hall of Famer. And then he blew out his knee, and back then they didn't have these easy procedures to get you back on the field. That was the end of his career for the most part. So he was spectacular.
Well, they were also playing on basically carpet on concrete with the AstroTurf, which was just murder on those knees and their ankles and stuff. So add that to the mix. Just technology at the time working against those players. But yeah, Kurt Warner was something else. But yeah, you're right. Can you imagine Marshawn Lynch running behind those guys, running behind Hutchinson and Jones and
even Walter Jones has said, boy, if Marshawn was behind us, ooh, that would have been scary.
There were so many times.
That was kind of an admission that Sean Alexander wasn't all that.
He had a nose for the end zone, then, man. When you got that ball at like 1st and goal from the 2 or the 3, that dude was getting in. I know, granted, maybe anybody was getting in with behind that line, but
you were getting in. Come on, Norb.
And I did get in, by the way. I got in the Kingdom, my first game. Well. All right, so we won't hate on him too much. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. Nice. Yeah. Russ for MVP slides to number 1. DK for Buddha trades places with them at 2nd. You Like Jazz up to 3rd. Win in 4th, and NorbFam Nation into the top 5 at number 5. Here we go, getting down the home stretch here. Number 9. Who nearly moved the Seahawks to LA in 1996? Ken Behring, Howard Schultz, Bill Gates, or Gary Locke? Who nearly moved the Seahawks to Los Angeles in 1996? Ken Behring, Howard Schultz, Bill Gates, or Gary Locke? Time is up. Okay, YouTube, doing what I expected you guys to get. Yes, it was the former owner. Looked a lot like Fred Flintstone. Ken Behring, the owner at the time back in the mid-90s. 29 of you guys got this correct. Let's go to the panel. Steezy.
I got it right. I said Ken Behring. I looked at all those other names, and none of them look familiar, and I don't see any of them ever having had any association with the Seahawks, and so I went with Ken Behring.
Good answer.
I mean,
not associated with the Seahawks per se, but we all know who Bill Gates is. Squabo.
Well, the relationship with Paul Allen made me think Bill Gates wouldn't have been the guy. Howard Schultz wasn't he the guy with the Supersonics that was in charge back
sadly.
then? And so I ruled those two out, and it was between Behring and Gary Locke, and honestly, I got lucky and said Behring.
Do you guys know who Gary Locke is? Or was? Nope.
Yep.
I know Brian does. Well, Gary Locke was at that time. At the time, he was what was his role? He became governor eventually.
Yeah.
But he was what was his title? I forget now. I know it. King County Commissioner? I forget. Anyway.
Yeah, but he was best known for being a governor, and he was spectacular, and ended up going to D.C. and working out there after his governorship. Yeah. He was good. And he was very instrumental in the Save Our Seahawks movement, trying to keep the Seahawks in town. So he was around at that time as well. Brian, I don't think I need to ask whether you know this one. You know it for many different reasons. Brian knows this very well. Very timely part of our history. All right, so let's go to the YouTube scoreboard. Getting down the home stretch. Win moves up to number 1. Russ for MVP to 2nd. NorbFam Nation up to 3rd. DK versus Buddha drops to 4th. Storm of Sports slides into number 5. And now we get to the good stuff here. The last 3 questions, I believe these are all worth double. If we're at that point, we are. Question number 10, double Jeopardy. How many times have the Seahawks reached the playoffs? 10, 15, 12, or 16? How many times have the Seahawks reached the playoffs? 10, 15, 12, or 16 times? Time is up. 13 of you got this correct. According to Joseph23, the answer was 16. I, again, did not verify this, so I can't say for certainty exactly, but he says it's 16. 13 of you got this correct. Let's go to the panel. And it's double Jeopardy time. So anybody's game right now. Steezy needs to catch up here. Can he do it here?
Yeah, I said 16. Ever since Russ Wilson has been in Seattle, we've been in the playoffs 7 of 8 years. So we've had that stretch, and then you also have the Matt Hasselbeck and then the Sean Alexander stretch. And so I just went with the high.
All right, so Steezy ties it up with Squabble for the time being, but Squabble, an opportunity to jump out and tie Brian. What say you?
Take one, pass it on, man. I got this as well. I was confident in Seattle just in terms of the volume. We've been to the playoffs a bunch of times. 10 and 12 both seemed too low, and it was like 15 or 16. I took my strategy that I can't really share with you guys yet, and it got me to 16.
All right, so we got a tie right now between Squabble and Brian, but Brian can increase that gap right now with the correct answer. Brian, what say you?
Yeah, I sure could, but I didn't.
What'd you guess? What did you say?
So I figured 8 and 9 under Pete. That was probably wrong. And then I figured 3 under Holmgren and 1 in 84 got me to 12. And I'm like, oh, of course it's 12. Everything's 12 in Seattle. So that was mine.
Oh, there's several wild card games that people forget about. We had a wild card game against the Bengals, a wild card game against the Houston Oilers, wild card game against the Miami Dolphins.
We just talked about this last week too.
We did. So anyway, it's hard to nail them all down. It's just like when you start to break it down, you realize, yeah, there's a bunch of extras in there. It would have been a toss if I didn't know this. It would have been a toss between 15 and 16, but. Good question right there. So we've got a tie right now between Squabbo and Brian, and Steezy only 2 points behind. So anything can happen right now with 2 more questions to go, a double. Let's go to the YouTube scoreboard, see how things shake up. Oh, it is shaking up big time. Tyler Greaves goes to number 1. Big boy DK up to 2. NorbFam Nation stays at 3rd. Pajilla up to 4th. And Win drops all the way down to 5th place. But we got 2 questions to go. Here we go. Number 11, worth double. Which Seahawks web series was I recently featured in? Tale of the 12s, Fan of the Week, Spirit of 12s, or Meet the 12s? What was the name of the web series I was recently featured in? Tale of the 12s, Fan of the Week, Spirit of 12s, or Meet the 12s? 3 seconds. And time is up. All right, 17 of you guys. Most of you guys got this one. Yes, it's the new series that they started. Actually, not the new series. It started a couple years ago. Tale of the 12s. And, yeah, that was really cool when they did that. It was right before the Cardinals game. Unfortunately, we lost that game, but it was a cool honor. Tale of the 12s. Let's go to Steezy. Did you happen to catch this for a chance to tie everybody?
I did, but I was real close to fumbling it.
Oh.
I almost said, because I said that, and then I was like, hold up, fan of the week? Because, you are in the Seahawks Fan Hall of Fame now. And so I was like, you know what? That could be a very feasible answer. But I was still holding on to that thought when you were like, time's up. And so I was like, I said Tale of the 12s first. And so,
hey, way to go, man. All right, 3-way tie at this point. But the Squabbo and Brian could extend the lead. Do they? Squabbo.
I mean, I was a fan of your stuff before, but when you started asking us trivia questions about your stuff, I started studying. And I definitely knew that you were part of Tale of the 12.
All right, okay. Well, the thing, though, is that you've been studying, but there are times you missed some really obvious ones that was quite disappointing.
I'm learning from...
Like the Michael Jackson one. You didn't know the Michael Jackson song that I had on the video when I did the 49ers, right? I think you missed that one.
There are 16 different songs in that video. Like, give me a break.
Well,
but I know which one you have for the Bills. If that question's coming up, I actually studied that one this time.
I had a feeling you would. I knew you were probably going to go with that, so it paid off. So, Brian, this is kind of random. Not in your wheelhouse when it comes to the old school stuff back in the radio days.
Yeah, well, it is something that I'm familiar with because we talked about it. I congratulated you on it on Facebook. The problem is I got my wires crossed between that and something called Meet the Seagulls, which is in the little pamphlet they hand out on game days. So I went with Meet the 12s.
Oh, no, he knew it, but he didn't really know it. So there, Squabbo takes the 2-point lead over both Steezy and Brian. So 10-8, Squabbo's suddenly at the lead. But again, we could have a winner. We could have a 3-way tie. We'll see what happens after the next question. But let's see. Nice tight race down the stretch. Let's see what happens in this scoreboard right here. Whoa, big changes all around. NorbFam Nation shoots to number 1. Seattle Ricky from nowhere goes to number 2. DK versus Buddha hanging in there at 3. Screezy at number 4, new to the top 5. And Let DJ Cook bounces back in there at number 5. NorbFam Nation with a sizable lead, but it still could go to anybody. Here we go. Last question. Again, double points. Which of these fun-sized Halloween candies has the most calories? Twix, 100 grand, peanut M&Ms, or Reese's Peanut Butter Cup? Which of these fun-sized Halloween, fun-sized, has the most calories? Twix, 100 grand, peanut M&Ms, or Reese's Peanut Butter Cup? Time is up. So aren't you glad you studied all my NorbCam and Seahawks history? Because that really helped you here in this question. All right, so 15 of you did all right and guessed 100 grand. It's Halloween. We just had Halloween. I had to throw a Halloween question in here. Why not talk about chocolate? So, for the potential to tie Squabo, at least for the time being, Steezy, how well do you know your candy bars?
Well, when I used to eat chocolate, Twix was my favorite, and so I went with Twix because, Twix is like a cookie chocolate bar. So I was like, so you're thinking about cookies and chocolate put together in one, and so I was like looking at all those other options. Reese's is chocolate and peanut butter. I was like, okay. The other option was M&M's. M&M's, they're not too many calories in that, and then 100 grand. I'm actually not even familiar with that chocolate, so I went with Twix and got it wrong.
Well, Twix is one of my personal favorites, and I'll tell you, this was one of our candy give-outs. It was from the Costco batch, the chocolate 150 pieces, and these were all the candies in here. And I got to ask a trivia question to all you guys in the chat. I want you guys to put down your favorite Halloween candy. You can even put your worst favorite or your hated candy, the one that you're excited to get when you open that bag, and when you go, oh man, they gave me one of those. You can put that in there too. But yes, so this is where I got the question from, and it even has the calorie intake in the background. But yeah, Twix, that is one of my favorites. I love Twix, man. Twix is good stuff. So there it is, right there. It's real good. That's got that little wafer with a little caramel on the top, topped with chocolate.
The little
I gotta admit, man, we have so much chocolate left over because we had hardly any trick-or-treaters this year. So I've got like bags of this stuff, man. It's like I'm going to gain weight. I'm going to gain like 15 pounds in the next month because I'm going to be snacking on those little bars for the next several weeks. All right, so Steezy's stuck at 8. So it looks like here the Squabo right now, the front runner. But if he misses this, Brian could tie him up. But let's see what Squabs has got.
So, Norb, first of all, if you got a whole bunch of extra candy, just for the record, I do have a mailbox here at college. I'm accepting donations and deliveries. In terms of this question, back when I first started losing weight, and I told I remember my trainer, Jerry, shout out my trainer, Jerry, he told me, he was like, Squabo, what are you eating at home? I told him I had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and a glass of milk that day. He said, man, that's what I tell people to eat when I tell them to gain weight. So I looked at that Reese's peanut butter cup, and I said, that's high calorie, bruh. And this is my favorite too. I got a weakness, so I said Reese's peanut butter cup.
Oh man, I will tell you the order and when we're done with this. Which are the worst offenders in here? But Brian, so Brian, you can tie him here with a lucky guess. Brian, what do we got?
Now, I know a little about a lot of things, but I swear to God, there's nothing more that I know about in life than candy. I am the candy man. This is what I do. I sit around and eat candy and get fat. I'm going the opposite direction of DJ Squabo. I ran to my garbage can because I swear to God, I had at least 10 bite-sized $1,000 bar wrappers in my garbage can, which I took out. So I wanted to show you all the wrappers. I absolutely got this right. People would think there's not enough peanut butter in there to really bring that up. It's all about the density of the chocolate and the caramel in the $1,000 bar.
Oh, technically it's 100 grand. It's not 1,000, bro. It's 100 grand.
100,000.
Yes, 100 grand. So there it is. That's actually one of my. There it is, right there. It's hard to do this. There, 100 grand, right there. 100 grand bar. There it is. Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff. That's got obviously chocolate wrapped around it. It's got those little like Rice Krispie things in there, and then a little bit of caramel. So you have that three-part mix in there. That's some good stuff. So on the back,
For the record, I'm the Reese's guy, though. So if I had 10 100 grand wrappers in my garbage, I had 20 Reese's wrappers in my.
All right, so I already know Calvin's favorite is the Twix. Yours is the Reese's. So Squabble, you didn't really say which of these four anyway is your favorite.
Reese's.
I'll say Reese's, man. I don't got it. Like I said, it's the same thing with women, same thing with chocolate. I don't got a type. I got a weakness. That's Reese's peanut butter cup.
That's so weak.
So just so you know, so I got all the calorie information. It was all off of here. So basically, it's just really depressing because it's so easy to eat these things, right? You just throw one down, it barely pazes you, right? So for one bar,
you're an amateur.
So I'm in order. So the lowest of calorie intake would be I think it was the peanut M&Ms.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the peanut M&Ms were those are 90 calories. The peanut M&M, the one after the Reese's peanut butter cup actually is only 85 calories for the one. So then it's the M&Ms is 90 calories, and then the Twix is 80. Actually, no, so that's lower. 80 for the Twix, 90 for the peanut M&Ms, and it's 100 calories for the 100 grand bar. It's very fitting, right? 100 for 100. So
ironic.
So if you ate 20 of those things, man, that's like 2,000 calories. That's your whole calorie intake for the entire day at a 2,000 calorie thing, man. It's not that hard to do, man. I threw down like 5 right before this broadcast. I didn't even think twice about it.
You know how you go to college and everyone gets the freshman 15? I've got the COVID 30 right now. So I need to get on the DJ Squabo plan. Once I set my mind to getting back in a relatively adult functioning shape, DJ Squabo, I'm going to reach out to you and get some ideas. Seriously.
So for those of you guys who are new here, if you didn't know this, so Squabo at one point at the peak of his weight, you were 345 pounds. 345. And now you've dropped to how many?
Like 215.
I weigh the same as you, man. Actually, I think I weighed 2 pounds heavier after that chocolate I ate. I think I'm like 217. I weigh more than you. And you were a behemoth at 345. I mean, that just still blows my mind how you were able to do that, man. But kudos to you, man, for doing that.
And I've said this before, and I'm gonna say it again real quick. Noah's the hardest worker, especially when it comes to being in the gym. I miss you being over here, bro. I'm over here going to Jared's by myself, and I'm just like, man, I'm looking at these videos, my memories, and I'm just like, bro, having that one person that pushed me, I'm just gonna have to wait. But yeah, Brian, whenever you get into that, Noah's gonna push you. He's gonna push you real hard, but at the same time, he's gonna work just as hard. So.
Yeah, man, I need somebody that knows what they're doing that can get me motivated. So that'll be cool. I will definitely hit you up, Noah.
As the senior guy in this group, because I think I am older than you, Brian. Right?
I don't think you are.
What year did you graduate from high school?
87.
So did I.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
When's your birthday?
Yeah, but didn't you graduate when you were like 14? One of those super smart dudes?
No, not that smart. No. But I did start school a little on the early side. So my birthday's September. My birthday's September. So September 19th. So I was one of those ones who turned it. I was a year younger than all my other friends were in school.
Okay, so yeah, I'm a June of '69 baby.
Okay, so you are 3 months ahead of me. So all right, I'm not the senior.
Right.
I'm not the senior one here. My gosh, people are going, oh my God, these guys are a bunch of old fogies out here. Anyways, but we're closer. We're closer than you probably thought.
I'm glad we got 2 young hip kids that know what's going on in the world of pop culture and sports to carry this. Because you and I, sit by the great fire. I'll tell you some stories.
they're dressed like they still care about how they look. So it's good to see that they're still putting the effort. You and I are like, this shirt's not dirty. There's no toothpaste on it. I'll wear this one. But I was going to say though, I have been working out. with my daughters because they're working out, training for volleyball. They're trying to start this weekend and stuff for club. So they've been going, doing some personal training. So I've been basically tagging along, and the guy's kind enough to let me just sort of shadow along with them. So I've been doing their workouts with them, and man, it's like,
love it.
I remember this stuff used to be easy when I was in high school, man. It's not so easy now. But I've been doing it. I feel good though, man. My legs are getting back in shape. I've been lifting. I can feel the, I don't got no six pack yet or anything, but I'm feeling stronger. It feels good. So Brian, it's never too late, man. If I can do it, you can do it.
Glad to hear it. All
right, and to celebrate, let's go have some more Twix bars after we're all done.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the final scoreboard for the YouTube side of things. Let's see who's on the podium. In third place with 6,234 points is Seattle Ricky, 7 out of 12 correct. In second with 7,227, Big Boy DK. And in first place with 8 correct answers, 7,335, NorbCam Nation! And DK versus Buddha and Screezy, the runners up. So NorbCam Nation, whoever you are, I hope you're not Rohan, because I'd be really pissed. But yeah, NorbCam Nation, take a picture of that screen up there. Email me at norb@norbcam.com, somewhere down there. Yes, in there, and just send me that, and then we'll hook you up, get you on a future show. All right, that was great. Let's bring this to the wrap up here. Good stuff. The Joseph 23, man, you brought it this week. That was a really good trivia. Really well thought out. Good questions. Some good obscure ones, and some ones that that everybody kind of knows. So it's good to have a little mix of easy and tough. But enjoyed that one. Enjoyed sharing that with you guys. Hopefully we all learned a little something today, a little history for our Seahawks. All right. So as I always do before we wrap up, I always want to give our guests a chance to quickly promote what they got going on this week on their channels. Any interesting videos coming out. So let's start with Steezy A. Smith.
Real quick, I think it was Rishi who won because he's saying that first trivia back is a win. I'm telling you, it's poetry, third dub all time. So I think,
okay, all right. So Rishi's been a while. Rishi Hoscote with the win. So congratulations, and I like the name, by the way, NorbCam Nation. That was cool. So congratulations, Rishi. And we'll get you back on here in a future fan panel. Congratulations, man. All right, so tell everybody, Steezy, what you got going this week.
Yes, sir. If you guys haven't already, be sure to show Norb some love. He's trying to get to 50K, so if you guys haven't already, hit that sub button, smash that like button, and be sure to subscribe to my brother as well, DJ Squabo, DJ SQABO. Catch us on the boat this coming Saturday. I missed last weekend's episode, and so I'm definitely back this weekend. Be sure to sub to him, 10 a.m. to 12 this coming Saturday. And then Brian will get into his handles. I'm sorry, I'm not too familiar with the handles yet, but last but not least, you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook at Steezy A. Smith, STEEZYS or ASMITH. I got a fantasy football video coming out tomorrow, and then I got a 3 Keys video coming on Friday. So got some content coming for you guys. You don't want to miss it. Then hit that sub button. So.
Hey, and you guys still gonna submit some articles and videos for the Fan Network too?
Oh, of course. All right. I got to.
All right. Looking for that. So, yeah, fan2fannetwork.com. These guys are writing articles and putting videos up there, too, on our Seahawks page. So check that out as well. Squabo, let's go to you, man. What you got going this week?
Well, this week's video is still being decided. I'm looking at, maybe a prediction video for the Bills or something like that. But last week's video, I stand by and I like that video very much. So you should go check it out. Why you, as a Seahawks fan, need to stop panicking about Seattle's pass rush. I break it down on video. Go check it out on my channel. Go show these guys some love as well. We're all trying to get bigger. We're all trying to be better, and we appreciate your constructive criticism in the comments. Thank you guys very much for the support. I love you.
All right. We love you too, man. And so, Brian Adker. So I know, actually, I got to ask you, so how are things coming with the new place? You've been teasing us with this, when you're going to move to your new place over in Kirkland off Lake Washington. How's that going, man?
Yeah, it's going good. We went through the inspection. Everything's beautiful. And now I've got workers in there. I've got a new water heater coming in, a brand new huge ass tank, so I can take hour-long hot showers and not even worry about it. I've got a TV guy coming in to mount my 75-inch big screen. I mean, I'm going to be sitting in paradise, in my opinion. I'm so happy. So I thank you for asking, and I can't wait to do some broadcasts with you from there. And hopefully my background will be a little bit better than it is now. And next time I'll also bring that light that you gave me.
Well, I expect a whole studio makeover, man. I expect to see some beautiful views and vistas. So next time when you are finally in the new place, I can't wait to see what that new place looks like. We're all excited to see it, see the debut.
Appreciate it, and I want to thank Steezy for at least wanting to or trying to shout out my social media. But honestly, right now, I'm like Eminem, man. I'll just creep back in the shadows, and then one day when I decide to pop up and make myself big again, that's what I'll do. And then we'll have all kinds of stuff to promote, and I'll be all over the place. I don't know that it's going to happen, but if that's what I decide that I want to do, then we will. Until then, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm not on there that much anymore. Facebook, I'm on there, but I usually only add people that I know. So I would recommend following the young guys, DJ Squabo and Steezy A. Smith and Norb, because they've all got great content and entertaining stuff.
All right. Well, I'm glad even if you are in hiding in the shadows on social media, I'm glad you're not hiding and that you're here, because I love having you on here, man. Your insight, especially your knowledge of things, of Seahawks past, but even the inner workings of things that most of us aren't really privy to, that you got to get firsthand knowledge of when you were back in the radio business. So I truly appreciate having you on here, man. Your insight is awesome. So I love it. It's a great honor to have you on.
You guys are awesome, and you guys are fun, and that's why I'm doing this. I really didn't foresee or plan to be doing anything like this, but after watching an episode, I'm like, man, I'd like to hook my train onto that. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, it's fantastic, man, and I love it. I love the banter, and I hope you guys in the audience love it too, because we're going to keep doing it, ride this thing through the rest of the season, hopefully have a postseason version, and maybe, knock on wood, fingers crossed, maybe a Super Bowl edition. Let's see, one game at a time, though. But most importantly, I want to thank all of you guys out in the YouTube audience out there who are watching. For everybody who contributed to the super chat, thank you for your support. And yeah, make sure you please check out all these guys' stuff on their channels. They're all, especially Squabo and Steezy, trying to get up in the world. This is their passion. This is their love. And every bit you guys can do to help their social channels and their YouTube videos, I know they'd appreciate it, and I would as well. Please. So we got more videos coming out for sure. I've got there's going to be a collab with a Bills fan coming up later this week. And of course, I've got to do my usual weekly Madden simulation game of the Seahawks-Bills matchup. Hopefully, I won last time playing against the 49ers, and hopefully I might keep improving my skills, and even like the Seahawks defense, I'm going to get better every week, and hopefully get a good win against the digital Buffalo Bills. And then, of course, the game itself, which is an early morning game at 10 o'clock in the morning in Pacific time. I'll be doing the usual reaction videos with my dad here in studio, doing our usual father-son reactions to these games. So, and I got to mention, we talked about the Tales of the 12 show. Well, it was pretty cool because the Seahawks actually asked my dad to come in and be interviewed for that. So I brought him to CenturyLink Field today. He will appear on that show sometime this season. I don't know when. And so my dad, for the first time, we've been doing these shows, side by side. First time really to have him in studio was this year because of COVID, and now we're doing it on a regular basis. And then, how cool is that we get to be interviewed by the Seahawks on the same fan, honoring show called Tales of the 12s, and we'll be both on it in the same season. My dad turns 81 next month, so I'm just glad I can have this time with my dad. I don't know if you're watching, Dad, but it's been great being able to spend all this time with you. And Seahawks has really, in so many weird ways, has brought us together, from Super Bowl wins, Super Bowl losses, NFC Championship game wins, and all those other games we've been to. But it's been fun. So there's something about football. It's not just a game. It's not just a team that you root for, but it brings you together. Really, it brings friends together. We all could be strangers here who never met, but because we all love the same team, here we are doing a show together. And I think that's what the power of sports is. You know, sports brings people together. You find yourself hugging complete well, not in these days with COVID, but in the past and someday in the near future, hugging complete strangers and crying and cheering and screaming and swearing together with people you normally would not be doing that with. It's because you have that one thing in common, and that is your favorite sports team. In this case, our beloved Seattle Seahawks. So let's go, man. Let's go 7-1 on Sunday, get a win against the Buffalo Bills. Keep this train running. All right. Pleasure, you guys. We'll talk to you guys all later. Let's get it. Go Hawks.
Go Hawks.